Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. How's everybody doing today? Oh my gosh, we have a wonderful, wonderful show planned for you guys. And we're going to be talking about something, of course, it's got to be weird, right? A secret military base. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think this place really exists. They're doing all this weird stuff there. Okay. I think we know by now. There's a lot of secret underground military bases where there's a lot of secret stuff going on, a lot of weird experiments that are going down, and some of them are pretty bad. Okay, and Dulce is probably the worst of them from eyewitness testimony and things like that. We're going to get into all of that today. Oh my gosh, just like Barry always says, I think I bit off more than I could chew today with this topic. So, of course, I do have Barry Littleton here with me today. He is in the studio. And of course, you know, Barry's one of my resident experts when it comes to ETs and UFOs and contact and even like hypnotic regressions and things like that. We're going to be getting into that. He just put a fantastic video out this past week on implants. Okay. ET implants, and I put the links to two of those videos. One has to do with Morgellons disease as well, or Morgellons or Morgellons. It's in the live chat right now, so you guys go can check those videos out or earmark them. Save those links, okay? And you guys go and watch those videos when you get a chance. They are fantastic. Barry is full of fantastic information, and he is really a cutting edge researcher, and so. I can't wait to have this discussion with him today. It's going to be fantastic. It really is. And we are dealing with some sensitive information today. And so take all this with a grain of salt. And I'm debating on whether to show some of these pictures that we have. You know, we talk about chimeras and animal-human hybrids. And this is a place where they may be working on stuff like that. And there have been whistleblowers like Phil Schneider. And we're going to get into some of his testimony today as well. He actually claimed that he had lost several fingers from a firefight dealing with some tall grays where they drilled into an alien base underground when he was working as a contractor and an engineer making these deep underground military bases. Okay, so if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and check out my archives of all my shows, please go to thecryptidhuntress.com and you can find a calendar of events and everything I'm up to over there and all my social media links. If you guys would like to follow me on social media. Yes, I post a lot on social media. So thank you guys for all your support and for, you know, following the Cryptid Huntress. Okay. And I do have a Patreon if you guys would like to support the channel and my work. And also I have a shop. It's called War Woman Goods over on Etsy. And thank you guys for all your support for that too. I do want to remind everybody, I am going to be the keynote speaker at the 2025 Georgia Bigfoot Conference. That's on Saturday, March 22nd in Demarest, Georgia at Piedmont University. So I hope you guys will come see me over there at that conference. It's going to be awesome. So if you need more information, go to my website or go to georgiabigfootconference.org for that. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into our show today because, like I said, I think I bit off more than I can chew on this one today, y'all. It is, there's so much to it, so many angles that we can take on this, and it may require a couple of shows. It might, if we want to hit this from every angle, because we're going to dig into it as much as we can today, and let's get to it. Okay, so today we're exploring the Dulce Underground Base and the Dulce Alien War, which whistleblower Phil Schneider testified on and exposed in 1995. Now, Dulce Base is an alleged secret military underground base where the military conducts experiments on humans. That's allegedly. They conduct experiments on humans and aliens with extraterrestrial help. The legend has originated from cattle mutilations, electronic signals, and a former engineer's claims in the 1970s and the 80s. Dulce, New Mexico is located right on the Colorado-New Mexico border. It's a small town with a population of just under 3,000. It's the tribal headquarters of the Jeriquilla, I'm sure I totally did not pronounce that right, Apache Reservation. It is out in the desert, okay, and there's so many conspiracies behind this, and of course, doing all these shows, doing all this research, knowing people, even that work in intelligence myself, I know that everything can be skewed. You go people start uncovering things, and then a disinformation, what do you call it? A disinformation thing comes out where they got to, discredit people. And so it is just really hard to know what's what these days. Of course, whistleblowers do get discredited a lot of times. And so just got to go with your gut with this at this point. Okay. Because, like we always say, the government's not going to come out and tell us everything. Okay. They have a vested interest in keeping things a secret. Our government is not going to admit that they are not in full control. And that's my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. Okay. So, of course, I do have our good friend Barry Littleton here with me today. And we are the disclosure, y'all. We are. And it's very brave of people like Phil Schneider and these other people that have come out. He lost his life over disclosing some of this information. And so that is a good way to keep people quiet for a long time. And so it is very brave of people to come out and do, and to whistleblow on these types of secret projects that are going on. I have Barry Littleton here. I'm going to go ahead and pull Barry up. You guys, please go subscribe to Barry Littleton on YouTube and join his Patreon. And he's got wonderful videos. He's been researching this for decades and has hundreds of videos over on his channel that cover topics exactly like what we're talking about today. Please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Barry Littleton himself. Hey, Barry.
Boom. Hey, what's happening, Jessica? Greetings to everybody in the audience. Thanks for having me on. It's been an interesting day already. And then I know I rubbed some people wrong the last show that we did. So, it happens sometimes, you know what I mean? But part of it, I think, was the technical difficulties. And then the other was lack of insight for some people. So I apologize anybody that I offended. It wasn't intentional, but I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But thanks for having me back. And I tried to do a live and kind of address some of that a couple of days ago to maybe make things a little clearer, in a positive way.
Oh, Barry, if you're not rubbing people the wrong way, then you're not doing it right. Okay. And that's you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. And I've come to that, realization, especially doing all these shows and, getting I love the feedback from everybody after all of our shows. And I think it's fantastic that we get the feedback. Sometimes it's not so wonderful, but that's okay. That's okay. Everybody's got their opinion, and I welcome all of it. Okay. Welcome all of it. I prefer the good stuff though, y'all. Okay. I prefer the good feedback.
Well, you know how it is. The something about our nature is that you may see 50 positives, but you see those 5 negatives. They stick out much more than the 50 positives. It's just something about it. You know what I mean? And I'm one of them brothers, man. I don't know what I appear like on screen or on the social media, but I'm not one of those pushover brothers. And I don't like crap, and I will stand up for myself, and I'm very outspoken. You know what I mean? And in that way, it kind of comes forward on social media, I think, even maybe worse or less. I don't know. But I'm not here to be liked, but I'm not here to piss everybody off either. You know what I mean? It's a very fine line.
I know. Well, that's why we love you, Barry. I mean, it's Barry's Barry. Okay. And I'm me. And we've all got our different methods of getting our points across. It's okay. I loved it. I thought we had a great show.
You do really well. You do really well, and you address so many different things. You know, this one here is interesting. First, I want to apologize, everybody. Thank you for advertising those 2 videos, because I didn't get a chance to go through and get my old notes for those videos, which I actually diagnose or describe every single thing that's different about the implants. And I think on the second one, and especially the first video, I did do that. So, you know, some of the things that like Dr. Lear had discovered that were not natural about the implants themselves. And, you know, at first when you mentioned this gentleman and the lady too that had the implants, I couldn't, first I was thinking that was the guy that did the hacking of the computer system. But then I realized, no, that's the guy that dealt with Richard Doty. And that Richard Doty tried to deceive him, and that whole thing went on, you know, that is crazy. But the lady that he claims to have gotten the implant from I will say the name wrong. Is it Myra M-Y-R-N-A, Myrna Hansen? Myrna. Okay, like
I guess.
I
mispronounce everything, Barry. If you haven't noticed, I stumble over everything. And I have a degree in English literature, by the way. That doesn't mean anything.
Well, people are brutal, you know. I think one day I said I was describing stalactites, and I said stalactites instead of staglamites or something. Oh my gosh, I got butchered. He doesn't know the difference between stalactites and staglamites. Well, actually, I do, but I mean, you're talking in the middle, and it's not that, you know. Anyway, but you know, that lady, I think she's the one. And I'm sorry, I didn't have enough time to find this or to put it. If my mind serves me right, there was UFOs Are Real. It's around 1981 documentary, somewhere between 79 and 81. There's a regression on there done by Leo Sprinkle. And Leo Sprinkle was really good back then. You know, he's one of the first people to kind of broach the topic. And it was that lady talking about what she saw these grays doing to this cow that she saw getting taken up. I think it's that lady. And
it's
she was
describing the same one.
Yeah, she was describing this device that to me sounded a lot like an acoustic scalpel to a degree that wouldn't leave cauterized wounds. That's new technology to us now. And the other thing she had described seeing, I believe, a vat of what was body parts in there. And she wasn't sure if it were cow body parts or human body parts. And
it was human.
Was it?
Human and all sorts of different body parts and stuff. Man, I mean, I guess we can just kind of dive into all this. I guess we'll start off with this.
You know what that reminds me of?
There's so many things how many angles we can take on this, Barry. Okay,
you know what that reminds me of? I know you don't watch movies, but there's one called The Beastmaster. He's going through this camp and he's looking through this like it's a broth, and he pulls it up. These human faces start coming out. Yeah. I mean, that's not pleasurable, definitely. So it's too bad. But it makes us examine how many genetic relations there's supposed to be between us and cows. You know, especially concerning the reproduction process. I've read some things about that, so not good. You know,
no, it's not good. Well, you know, I know we like to talk about positive ET contact and stuff like that, but here's the thing. What I'm finding with this, and I've talked about this multiple times about the troop herd corridor. I know y'all, it's in your, you know, I punch it in. Okay, I'm like troop herd corridor. That's got that name. That's one of my research areas from the mass alien abductions that were happening, and the people who were reporting that when they were having these abductions, there was U.S. military in the vicinity, in the environment as they were being abducted. And during the experimentation that they underwent, the military was there. There were human soldiers alongside ETs. Okay, and this is right up the alley of the same right here. With this, there's this one particular woman. Now her case does. It kind of segues into the Dulce base. Okay. And I'm going to talk about her. Her name's Myrna Hansen. Okay. Now she just very well documented. Okay. As to what happened to her. And she remembers watching a UFO flying over a field. She was driving with her son at night. And so they did what you probably shouldn't do. She pulled the car over and got out. Okay. Sounds kind of like a Travis Walton kind of thing. I personally, okay, I know we talk about the dangers. We just talked about the dangers of summoning UFOs, right, Barry? It's not smart if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. And if you're not, and even if you know what you're doing, it's not smart. That's my opinion. I have done it
here.
with my
you don't
team.
Know who's on board. You know,
you don't know. That's right. And I told the story about the woman who had the family in North Georgia and summoning in UFOs. She thought it was fun. And then her kids started getting abducted regularly. And their whole entire quality of life went down the tubes for a while because the kids were being abducted and they had ETs and cameras and videos looking in their windows. And it was horrible. Okay, so it's not a good idea. Y'all don't get out of your car, please, unless you just want them to take you. Okay. So this woman was she was driving home to she lived in New Mexico. Now let's kind of give a little background on where Dulce is. Okay, because Dulce is actually on the border of, I think it's Colorado and New Mexico. Is actually where it's a town. Okay, here's a map right here. Okay, so it's at southern Colorado, northern New Mexico, right there on the border in the New Mexico side. Okay, and this town only has, I don't know now. I mean, it probably has more than 3,000 people that live there now, but I don't know. That's the radar, like a radar tower up there at the top, or a bunch of antennas right there on top of the mesa. Okay, and this is allegedly the base right here. Okay, so all right, so this lady was driving home with her son one night, and they watched a craft flew over a pasture that had cows in it, and they watched as a cow started getting abducted. Like this UFO was like kind of messing around with all the cows out there, and then it honed in on one, and they watched as this cow got taken up into the craft. And I guess like the next thing they know, they are inside their car and they don't know how they got there, and the engine was turned off. And snowball effect happened where it was like, oh my God, what happened? And she remembered being taken. She thought she'd been taken, but later did a hypnotic regression like you do so often, Barry. And the details were uncanny. Okay, they were wild because the things that she described lined up exactly with what engineers and photographers, people that had worked at some of these bases, let's just say Dulce, she had described the exact layout of this underground base that she was in, like exact. And she even ended up with an implant, okay, because she remembered being implanted with something at the base of her neck. And when she went to I guess these gentlemen, okay, there's a couple of gentlemen actually, Paul Benowitz. Okay, that is a name that comes up pretty often. He's one of the main whistleblowers of Dulce. I believe he was a photographer, if I'm not mistaken. He was a photographer and he did some contract work potentially with the U.S. government. And he was an engineer. He worked, I think he contracted with NASA potentially, or the U.S. Air Force. And he worked at Kirkland Air Force Base and an underground base nearby. And he was saying that her drawings, because she actually drew it, like I always tell everybody, draw what you remember. Okay, draw. I've seen ETs in my room, I drew them. Okay, draw what you remembered. And he said that her drawings matched up perfectly with one of the military bases there. And he actually, this Paul guy had an apartment, and he wanted to live closer to where he worked. So he had an apartment. It was right by one of these bases. I'm going to say Dulce. Okay. It was right one of these bases. And he used to watch UFOs over that land right there where this base was. Now, whether those are like extraterrestrial or they are some kind of reverse engineered technology that our government has, he was just filming it, taking pictures of it all the time. And he said that he started picking up on alien radio transmissions, Barry. And he was compiling data to determine or to prove that there was actually alien life here on this planet. Now, Paul and this other gentleman, his name was Gabe. he actually took Myrna over to a lab, to a doctor, to have that regression done. And let me tell you exactly what she said, because it lines up. I think this is what you were talking about. She said that after they saw the cow taken, they came and got her too. I think they got her son too, but they definitely got her. She saw gray aliens, tall gray aliens. She said that they weren't moving their mouths. That's how I described it when I saw them myself. I've seen them too. Okay. They don't move their mouths, but they telepathically talk to her. She could hear their voices in her head. And she said that she saw body parts floating in vats of liquid, just like you had mentioned. And there was a horrible smell. And now that is actually very significant for when we start talking about Phil Schneider's testimony. There was a terrible smell, probably smelled like body parts and stuff, like human waste, I guess. So they took her to a doctor after this regression, and they did find an implant in the back of her neck, Barry. Now, is that the story that is that the same one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that lady who's being regressed by Leo Sprinkle was her, and she was describing also how the cow was being dissected, killed, and how it was the trauma. It was traumatizing. Then after that, the vat and everything. And I could be wrong on this, but she might be one of the people that Dr. Lear removed that implant from. In which case, you've got on that first video, the older video. I apologize, the editing is not as cool on my older videos, but it is what it is. The information is there. But Dr. Lear discovered a lot of things scientifically, like frequency-wise and gauze-wise, and things that these things were emitting that were completely unnatural to the human body. And, kind of more like what we're called now chemical sensors, electronic sensors, and brain implants, things of that nature. When dealing with implants, just a name I'll throw out there is Dr. Jose Manuel Rodriguez Delgado. Check his name out. Check out the graphene type of implants he was doing, and brain implants, and how that starts going into some of these corporations we have right now that have these extremely expensive nano implants that are made of graphene. But I think that's real back engineered technology right there, because Dr. Lear found that some of these implants had literally, although they're microscopic almost, they had 2 miles length worth of carbon nanotubes inside of them. 2 miles worth. And something that, and when you start dealing with that and the nano spectrum, or even the pico spectrum that's smaller than that, and these technologies and these civilizations that start going through like in inner space and kind of discovering the universe through creation and things in inner space, it changes everything. And you think about that, something that small, Jessica, engineering feat like that, think about what they could do with what we call in science fiction and science a Dyson sphere, which is like, almost like a Death Star type of thing over an entire solar system to actually entrap all the energy from the sun itself for that type of source. You imagine what kind of what you'd be dealing with if it's something that could make, implants like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the size of like the tip of a pencil, right? The tip of a pen right here. I mean, just a tiny little boop, and it goes you can barely see it. Okay,
And
some people can feel them, but
yeah, they would move too. Dr. Lear, said that they moved quite a bit. So why don't we just throw this in right now and keep going? Okay. I did that live, and I talked about something. All right. And I had talked about, I'm not trying to discredit anybody's testimony or anything or question their experiences, but we have these neuro weapons and this neuroscience that is creating a serious problem. And that's what we're getting with these implants and these frequencies. There's a place right now, an organization that does scans that are a multi-spectrum scans with a couple of different devices that are super sensitive, and they're detecting RF frequencies that are not natural to the human body.
Mm.
And then they're able to trace some of these frequencies back to some of these corporations or some of these medical institutions.
Yeah.
Some of them come from Space Command, Space
Space
Force.
Command.
When I looked that up, okay, that's why I
Yeah.
asked you, I messaged you to ask you if any of the SSP people have mentioned that. And you said no. I was kind of shocked. But
I mean,
Space
I don't
Command,
think so.
well, Space Command, and it's like the United States Space Command, the United States Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
They're two separate things, but they're kind of connected. And I mean, once I started looking that up, that stuff, those advertisements started popping up on all my feeds,
Yeah.
Facebook,
Algorithm.
everything. I mean, all of a sudden, like you want to join, But I think that, and what's interesting, when I found out when traced back to the individuals whose frequencies were traced back to that, to Space Command, Space Force, were not SSP people. They're
Yeah.
not. So I think, so during that video, I said those people do those scans they do clinics, and it's like $500 for an individual scan, and $1,000 if you want like this super scan with the consultation that comes with it and the program, whatever. But I mean, it's really interesting because these are people trying to expose these programming, this Havana syndrome, and these audio spotlight technologies and things that are actually being used on people.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
There's
say,
the link.
I urge everybody, the people that are 21 back and all them, go get scanned. Make sure that I might be incorrect, but I mean, have you been exposed to a hive mind and a brain to brain interface, brain to quantum computer interface, something that they call the world sentient simulation? I advised everybody to look that up. That is reality. That's reality places they're using real factual stuff and then subjecting people to it in a world simulation, neuro-wise, in like a different alternate reality. So just something I want people to be aware of. And you've got these implants like this, and that's how so weird this came up with that.
Yeah.
And this whole thing we're
It's
talking
wild.
about now, and we'll go into embedded later, beings and all the other technologies that might seem to come with that a little bit later, but I don't want to talk too much,
Okay.
but
No,
please.
that's fantastic. I mean, if people can get tested to see if they do have some sort of implant. Now, you said, is it expensive? You said to get this scan done.
Yeah, a little 500, and I think it's a scan. I don't know how long it takes, but I know they use a couple of different instruments that detect, especially I think scalar frequencies, but also radio frequencies that are not natural to the human body, probably UHF frequencies, different ones that are not natural to the human body. And we deal with these implants, and we're talking about that, but there are also some people I've talked to. They've tested for nanodust. Okay, meaning that they're usually being implanted that way through nanoparticles. And in fact, they're finding nanoparticles like in their vents and stuff. These are targeted individuals,
Mm-hmm.
And
What if?
it was you and I's second meeting at JRT conference that I finally got to actually meet and talk to some few targeted individuals in person. Several were there. I was sitting there eating chicken the first night, and that lady come
Yeah,
up and she laid it on us, man.
that's great. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, we got a whole box because we didn't have any food there, and I was starving. And the people that whatever that resort was, man, they were so good to us. They brought us all the boxes of chicken out and stuff. It was
That
great.
was nice.
But we got to kind of commune, so to speak, over all that, and meet a lot of really interesting people with some really, I mean, just these stories that they were telling, their encounters are just pretty horrifying, actually, as far as being targeted. But as you're saying, this nano dust and stuff, I'm thinking like we're all targeted at this point, because I feel like the things that are being sprayed out in those clouds in the sky that aren't really clouds, there's no telling what all's in that, and we're breathing all that in. So you don't just have to have that in your vents of your home if you're targeted. I mean, we're all kind of subject to it at this point.
And the sound technology, that's a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Neuro
Yeah.
sound weaponry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's go back to Dulce a little bit, and let's get to the meat and potatoes here, because one of the most heart-wrenching testimonies, okay, is from Phil Schneider, of all about Dulce. Okay, and I've discussed him several times here on the channel. my buddy Jimmy Payne said that Phil was one of his very best friends, actually, and that he was unalived, as we say on YouTube. He was actually unalived. He had actually told his friends and family, if anything happens to me, I did not do it myself. If I end up dead, they did it. They did it. Okay, because he was putting out some really sensitive information, let's just say, to the public when it came to Dulce. Okay, and these secret government programs. And I'm going to get into what happened to him because this is really important. Okay, so we established that there was a woman. Go ahead, Barry.
Quick question: was it Dulce where he lost his fingers?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, he was drilling into the land. Okay, we're going to get into it because he was drilling in underground. He was part of a big team. He was an engineer, and they kept hitting something. It was breaking their drill bit, like their big drill. They were busting into an alien base, actually. And all right, so he worked a 3-mile underground tunnel. He was on a geology team, and they were drilling through the ground, and the drills kept breaking, like I just said. He put on a suit, got on his little elevator, and he went down below to figure out what the heck the drill was stuck on. He was met at the bottom of that shaft. Let's just call it a shaft, I guess, by a couple of 7-foot tall gray aliens, and he shot and unalived one of them. Well, they shot him back with plasma weapons. Okay, that's what he claims. The weapon eventually gave him cancer. Okay, whatever happened to him down there, I think it could have been the radiation just from being around the ETs and stuff, and Lord knows what was going on down there. Because when he got down there, there was also, he mentioned there was like a smell. There was a horrible smell, like a plume of like black dust or smoke kind of like came out. And it had a horrific smell to it, he said, which kind of sounds like what that woman was talking about who had the implant. She said that it smelled horrible. Okay, he lost at least 2 of his fingers, and he thought he was dead. And then I believe he said a Green Beret grabbed him and pulled him back onto the elevator in the shaft and like sent him back up. And they said the number is 66. He said that 66 people died, humans died, in what they call the Battle of Dulce Base. Now, of course, people there's no record of this, Barry. It's only his testimony, of course. But the people that work on these projects, and I'm going to get into that too, because that gentleman that I'd mentioned earlier, I believe, is it Paul Benowitz? He had to sign some contracts to say it was under the penalty of death. If he was to ever say anything about what was going on and what he saw, it was under penalty of death. Okay, so if you wonder why people don't talk about this kind of stuff, and then, of course, Phil Schneider ended up dead. I'm not sure if he took the same oath and had to sign on the contract on that dotted line under penalty of death. But the American military accidentally had drilled into an alien base that had been there for about 500 years. They estimated, and probably longer than that. And they knew that they were either going to, they were kind of stuck there with like either having to go to war with the ETs, go to war and be like, pick sides. We're going to fight them. But they knew that they could not beat them. So they struck a deal with them, Barry. They struck a deal. And humans, this is where the deal comes in. There's several treaties. I actually have 1, 2, 3, I have 4 different treaties here from 4 different years. Throughout the decades from 1944, 1954, 1962, and 1979, the humans were striking deals and doing treaties with the ET races here. And there's multiple races of ETs here. You and I are both fully aware of that. And one of them was the Grenada Treaty. I think this was back in 1954. This is back where the aliens, we made a deal where the ETs could abduct the humans as long as the Majestic 12 were privy to it and knew what was going on. But I don't think the aliens held up their end of the bargain. From what I've read, they weren't honest about how many people they were taking and what exactly they were doing, or maybe they were. The government wants to wipe their hands of it. That's what I think. But let's see. Yeah, they were. So we were. The deal was after the Phil Schneider incident, okay, where they hit that base. The government said that they would allow them to do whatever they wanted to do, basically. y'all got carte blanche on the humans here. We don't give a crap. Do what you want, okay? And we'll just turn a blind eye to it. And yeah, it was just another. I guess they're letting these aliens eat us, Barry. Ultimately, they're able to abduct us, do experiments on us, and ultimately eat us. You and I have extensively researched and remote viewed the missing people in all of our national parks. And this 100% backs up, first of all, federal lands, treaties with ETs. They're able to eat it, and they don't even eat our flesh. I think they go for the adrenal glands, from what I've read as well. So they're not even eating. That's why there's all these body parts. I don't know. Maybe they don't know what to do with the body parts. Maybe they give them to another alien race that eats body parts. I don't know.
I've had several regressions I've done where the individuals are exposed to what is not just extraterrestrials, but what appear to be some type of private military. And usually the suits are described the same. It's very interesting. These black uniforms that are markless, no patches, no anything on them, but they're these certain style of like advanced uniform, like military. And it's interesting, but it comes up again and again. One I mentioned before is somebody. These are people that, like I said before, they're not SSB. They're not into that stuff or anything like that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They're, maybe into spiritual Reiki or whatever, but they're not SSB people. And they describe like a triangle coming up where they're in the scouts at night. They're on some camp out and everybody's out and this thing comes over. It's one of these triangles. And this person's age, this would have been probably about, maybe 77. Somewhere around in there, but it's described very much like this TR3B, and then everybody else, and it's doing something. They say it's meeting a frequency, and there's a light that's keeping the entire what do you call those Boy Scouts? What do you call them? Troops, or what do you call them? I can't remember.
Boy Scout troop.
Yeah, the whole troop is out, including like the leader who's supposed to be up watching everything, sitting up there asleep. They're knocked out by this, but this individual wasn't. They were body paralyzed by it, but still cognizantly aware. Okay,
that's
like
happened
sleep
to me
paralysis.
Before. Like 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're describing a camping deal like Jessica and her team.
I was camping.
Once a week, man.
I was gonna say, no, that happens to us all the time, and that's wild that you're bringing that up because my team, like, we have this thing where we don't really talk about it so much anymore. I actually just had a great dinner with one of my teammates last night. My old Keith, what's up, Keith? Keith's in here. He's probably not watching. But anyways, we've always, for a long time, we've always wondered, like, why do we go out in the field? We're surrounded by ET activity and UFOs and Bigfoots and all the stuff, the portals, everything that's going on out there. Why is it in the thick of it, when things are like going haywire around base camp and we're having stuff going on, we know there's stuff out there, we always go to bed. Every one of us turns in and goes into our tents and goes to sleep. And we should be staying up. We should be watching what's going on. We should be trying to communicate. We should be trying to just staking it out. And we don't. We go to bed. And it doesn't make any sense, but it makes all the sense that night when it happens. But it's almost like we're like hypnotized. Like, go to bed. Go to bed. Go to sleep. We're here to test you guys.
They start describing on board this craft everybody being moved around and people being moved in sleep paralysis, but they're being moved around, being experimented on, and they're very much cognizant of this. And they start describing, and I ask, me, Jessica, I'm a curious cat. I ask a lot of questions during these regressions, and one of them is, what do you see the beings that are there? And they're military with the black uniform, like I said. I don't want to call them military. I don't know who they are. They seem to be even a more private organization than that. Maybe more powerful. I don't know. But then they start describing 2 different types of extraterrestrials on there. Was it 3? 2 types of grays, and then one that we would call an Eben. And when I say the ebens, the ones that have the headdress and also the large nose, and they're the ones that were seen and described at it's Holloman Air Force Base, that whole contact deal there. The ones that were described of getting off, some of them had the headdress with the noses. And if you really look at some of the older, I remember, never forget, it was one of the original Betty and Barney Hill interviews I saw. You know, Barney Hill described the leader of those Greys as looking like Jimmy Durante. He had a nose like Jimmy Durante. They called him the Snoz. You remember that guy?
Yeah,
He's
I know.
Like, a long time ago. He had a pretty big nose on him, man.
He did have a big nose. He had a big nose.
Anyways, he described the leader as sorry, as having the headdress on and also a nose like Jimmy Durante. And I heard that again when they started describing the beings at the Holloman Air Force Base. Some of them had on the headdress and also the noses. Really? And when you start going back into Egyptian times, you start seeing some of those caricatures also. So again, food for thought. But but my client, I had two that actually described seeing one of the beings there that seemed to be in charge more. So
interesting.
I've heard something else. I've heard when some of those instances like that, the taller Greys, that they're actually the older ones, and they start growing more to when they die, and their body can't support, their organs can't support their size anymore. That's one of the things that kills them. I don't know if that's true, but I've been told that.
Wow. Yeah, I have no idea, but that's really interesting. And the fact that there are multiple people that are having the same type of experiences like I've had and my team's had, and you just go to sleep. Okay, like something is there to put you to sleep. Now, I did have that event in the field when I was out there with my team, and I was out. There was one of my roll dogs out there. I was with my buddy JT actually, and we had that encounter where the craft flew over us, and it actually put both of us to sleep. It put me to sleep first.
Was it a triangle?
It was a triangle. Yes, it was.
Wow, yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Wow. And of course I don't talk about this publicly very often, but after remote view, team remote views and stuff, that's actually the event that got our whole team, on the ready to start learning how to remote view after this happened, and had to do with like holograms coming out of us and all this kind of weird stuff happened. It was just really odd. And so it made me wonder, like, well, am I chipped or something? Because there's some kind of like hologram that came out. So how did that hologram come out?
Go back. Holograms you did what you did to me before. You mentioned this before, but you go real quick over it. Holograms.
Because we're going to talk about Dulce.
We'll go back to it, I promise. So the holograms, like, were coming out of you and your teammates, like your own holograms, or you were seeing holograms?
It came out of me.
Yeah. Like it was another you almost?
No, it was like a
dream body, or
maybe I should have probably talked about this to you like before we were on air, and like not.
It's too late.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't a hologram of me. It was a hologram of information about me. Okay. It was like my ID card for the ETs, I guess. I don't know. Something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the reason why I'm asking is because it almost sounded for a minute. I was wondering like it was connected to the embedded beings thing, which is on that one of the videos I put up. But anyway, sorry. That's why I was asking. I was just very curious.
Yeah. I don't know. Mark, I don't know if you're talking about Dulce. I don't know. It's probably not shut down if you would ask me. But yeah, Barry, there's a lot that I don't know about. So I probably do need to get a regression done over that, because I have not had a regression done on that incident personally, like a full out regression. Maybe you and I could do that sometime, because that is one. I mean, I've had several experiences with ETs, and that was the first one that I can remember.
Pretty much your whole
and I
life.
don't remember.
You're extreme contactee, and I think you're one of those people that probably goes in the category of both. You've had positive and negative encounters. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay, Cryptidville has a question real quick, Barry. It says, have you ever encountered an abductee who was repeatedly farmed over a long period for bodily glandular secretions?
Yes. One that comes to mind, and I've got a video I did over this. It's called on my YouTube channel under extraterrestrial beings, I believe, but it's the fractured soul regression. And what that was, that started off with the individual when they were first taking them, they were getting like secretions. It was more, sperm and DNA, and the first of their like experiences, the first 5 or 6 when they were younger, that's what they were doing, gaining this genetic material so that they could take it to their quote unquote density dimension and try to actually reproduce these hybrids. But then they started taking the individual and they were practicing how far they could take the ship away and their energy body, their dream body, away from their body, their actual physical body. And that separates. So it's that bilocation situation, but they were experimenting with it. Then they started trying to fracture the individual's soul so that they could try to put pieces of it in these hybrids in their dimension. And let me say, and that to me, and they described several different beings that were on board this craft doing this. One that was a type of a bald eagle-looking being, another that looked like an octopus being, another that looked like a dog man of some type. But Jessica was a dog man that was more Anubis, almost jackal-like. Or actually, they described him very much German Shepherd looking when they held their ears up. Yeah.
You just went through all 3 of the dogmen. I was talking to a friend of mine who has some knowledge about the dogmen, especially ones that have been created. And I think what he was telling me was it's a combination of like 3 different dogs, like main dogs. There's the Doberman, German Shepherd, and a Whippet. That's what he said.
A what?
A Whippet, like those little tiny frill dogs, And it's like chimera. They're making chimeras, right? So that's a little tidbit of little breadcrumb for everybody out there that's in the dogman community. Look it up. And
something I'll throw in about that regression. I may have mentioned this before, so I don't want to repeat myself. But when this is all over, because this individual was having night terrors, they couldn't remember the abductions or anything till we did the regression. But it was the separation of their body from their soul, their energy body, their dream body from their physical body. During that separation that gave them night terrors, the feeling of it. Okay, but they didn't know that's exactly what it was. So to me, this all sounds very horrific. Okay, to me personally,
of course it's horrific.
When it's over, I asked the individual. I said, "So, do you consider these negative encounters?" And you know what they said? Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking, what, the HE double hockey sticks? What? Why? And they said, well, it's because you said there's 2 things. One is they're trying to learn how to love like we do. All these beings can love, but it's kind of the way that it's like the way the animals on our planet can love us, but it's not even that intense. It's different. And they want to know why we can love the way we do, and they want to be like that. Then the individual says this, and then also they want to know, why is it when we die, we go directly to God and they don't? They want to know why. So they're studying our death process also. They want to be more like us. And, like I said, hey, look, I don't make the rules. I just have to sit back and listen to this and try to keep on track, but I'd be blown away. I feel brand new and looks like, whoa, okay.
They just want to love. I mean, and that's legit. I mean, that's legit. I've always heard that they study our emotions, and I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because some of us have a lot more love in our hearts than others. Okay. And so does that make us a magnet for abductions?
Well, see, I don't know,
That's
because
a legit question.
The beings I've dealt with, I've described before, when you get in there, really, seriously, when you're in the presence of a non-human, keep it at 100%, physically, not in a dream body, physically. You have a non-human in front of you and you're in their biofield. And suddenly you start, I've been there, I start getting charged up, like all elated. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, not just that kind, but I mean like a Kundalini release. I've called it Shaktipat, is what the gurus call it. Like you have that release of Kundalini and your chakras are turning. You're all hyped. And all of a sudden you're not in their presence anymore. And you start coming down kind of, you're like, and with that comes that foggy of like, what just happened? I was just communicating with something. So what? And it starts fading, but that elation, So that's just some of the beings that come from the higher vibrations that I'm talking about. So it's like a mixed bag. You know what I mean? Sorry. Anyway, back to the Dulce.
Yeah, it's
I'm
okay.
taking us way too
No,
far
it's
off.
okay. No, because well, all of this is so related, and I know I've never really talked about the whole hologram coming out of me before and stuff. Listen, I have just as many experiences, if not more, than the people I bring on my shows, y'all. Okay, so you don't hear a whole lot about mine because I don't really talk about them very often, unless I can relate to my guest or my co-host. And so here you go, y'all. You're getting some tea. And I slipped with that one because I don't normally talk about that publicly.
Hey, knowing that you're familiar with the embedded beings do you feel there was maybe a connection there between this and this like holographic calling card that they scanned you with?
I don't know, but it makes I never even thought about, oh, I may have a chip or anything until today. I don't know why I never thought of that. So maybe I need to go contact this website and have them come give me a scan at some point. I may need a sponsor. $500 is kind of a lot to go get scanned.
It's a lot.
Or I could go to the vet's office.
I think it's kind of expensive, but by the same token, it's like nobody's doing it really, So it's kind of interesting, and I think it's super advanced machines that are beyond something like a Spooky 2 or something like that. This is real serious neural frequency. I don't want to say weaponry devices that they're using. So I just advise everybody, and it's something that maybe people can get together and start a FundMe between themselves and send, because they call them these weekend clinics that they do, where they see about 10 people and scan 10 people during the weekend. And then maybe they'll start doing it more, but it's just a good place to start to see how many of us have been exposed to this. And since they can trace where some of these frequencies are coming from, that's important. They're trying to put a stop to these programs legally. They're putting this stuff before like Congress and stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's pretty important right now.
That's wild. I love it.
The good people winning. I put the company. I'll do it again here in the chat. I'll do it again right now.
I've got a banner right here for it. Is it this one? CosmicClarityConnections.org. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out and check out the services. All that stuff is under services.
Yeah. Well, if they need a guinea pig, I would volunteer if they wanted to do it for free.
It's Desiree Foley and Ben Chastain that are running it.
Okay. I know both of them.
Super cool. I respect Ben so much. He's really a good cat. Both of them are really cool. But there's a couple of scientists that are helping them run it, and a neuropsychologist, and they're doing the whole thing. So check it out, everybody.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, well, that's wonderful. You guys, if you feel like you've got a chip in you and you've got some extra money sitting around, y'all go do that. For some people, these experiences shape and change their entire lives, and they're just looking for answers. So that's worth it, 100%. Me, I think I've been having these experiences my entire life, and I just have kind of come to terms with it. But it would be interesting to know if I do have something inside my body that's not supposed to be there. Okay, it would be. Now I did see that William Nighthawk's in the chat. What's up, William? And he put something about earthquakes. I lost his comment. We got a lot of people in here today. Thank y'all for being here. We got a big old crowd today. But William said that an earthquake hit the Area 51 area, the region, and it shut down some operations. Okay, well, that's interesting that you said that, William. Okay, because according to Phil Schneider's testimony, he said that this is some of the disclosure that he gave before we move on to keep going on Dulce, because we got a lot to talk about on Dulce still. And don't worry, y'all, my kid's home from school today. We can go longer today. Okay, so we got a while. Phil Schneider said, part of his disclosure said that the U.S. has earthquake machines that were given to us by the aliens. Okay, he also said that viruses such as AIDS, now this is for entertainment purposes only, were dispatched among our population for population control and things like that. Like he went on, he said a lot of stuff that was like, whoa. Okay, it was the beginning of the end. Okay, it was like the awakening, though. Do you know what I mean? Like he planted the seeds in our consciousness and the collective consciousness here with all of this. But he said, in exchange for human abductions, the U.S. government would get access to alien technology. Okay, that was a big one. The earthquake machine is a good one, though, because listen, we've been having a lot of natural disasters lately, Barry, okay, that may not be so natural.
Can I throw something in on that?
Please.
Okay, that goes in a little bit, making it even more reality that may not be extraterrestrial. You know, Nikola Tesla had an earthquake machine. And when he first showed it, it was a little box that he set on a building and almost brought the building down. And I advise everybody to Google the book. Hold on, let me see. I think I've got it on here somewhere. Nikola Tesla's earthquake machine, with Tesla's original patents are on there. And what it is, the patents that are similar to the rotator of like a washing machine or a dryer, the rotation of that vibration and that type of a cycle of a system that actually makes these small earthquake machines. So there's actually a book that has patents like that. Look that up. Anyway, not that there's not something extraterrestrial gave too, but we know he's supposed to have connections anyway. So I just thought that was interesting. You know,
it is. It's very interesting, and I think it's important for us to be aware of this stuff. Okay, just to be aware of it, and let's see. I've got a question.
What? Yeah, I cracked a joke like that. People got really mad at me. I never make jokes like that anymore.
It's okay. We can joke about it. Listen, if you're not laughing, you're crying over here. Okay, because this is scary, sad stuff. But we always put a light spin on it. Okay, because if we're not laughing, we're crying. All right. So, yes, nut slap. You make me say your name, damn it. Okay, I love it. Has Jessica remote viewed Dulce? No, I have not. Now that is one of those. It's kind of like it's an unspoken word. Like you're soft limits a little bit. Some of these places are very dangerous for remote viewers, and we're going back to like the missing persons epidemic that we have, and homeless people, children. Anybody, okay, people in the national parks. What we're about to get into with Dulce, we're going to really take a deep dive into what Dulce is, what it's comprised of, the experiments that are going on there. We're about to get to that, but it seems like they have a high count of like experiments and people, and also with the, if they're feeding these aliens and stuff, if they're taking our adrenal glands or whatever else they're doing. They have like a contract where they're able to do that, and the humans are helping them with this, according to some of this testimony here. And it's got to comprise of these missing people. Okay, it's missing people, and I would assume that if you get taken there, it is not pretty. Okay, this is torture. We're talking about being put into like animal human hybrid experiments. It's just experimented on or eaten by aliens. Okay, like this is disgusting and horrible. Okay, and humans are, just like Phil Schneider says, treated like cattle. Okay, treated like animals. Like humans are low on the totem pole, y'all. Low on the food chain, and maybe the totem pole is not a good one, because I think the one on the totem at the bottom's the strongest, I think. So that's not a good. That's just a saying. Okay, so but anyways,
low on the food chain. Invisible entities. We're total food for invisible predators.
Yes,
at least invisible to our nanospectrums without physical eyes.
Yeah. So you don't want to go. Listen. Always keep your eyes on your kids, y'all. Okay. I don't know. This is it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And okay, so I do want to make this is very important. Something else. This is the last thing I'm going to tell you that Phil Schneider said before we move on. He said that there's an alien agenda. It's been planned. There's a planned complete takeover of the planet, and a plan to take out 5/6 to 7/8 of the human population by 2029. That's in 4 years. It's the New World Order, part of that. And the military has known about it. This is back in 1995. He said the military had known about it for at least 45 years. All right. What is up with that, Barry? That's pretty wild, right? That's pretty wild. All right, let's move on to the Dulce papers. Okay. This is next, because Thomas Castello, okay, this is another whistleblower here. And he was the military photographer, actually. Okay, I might have gotten that person mixed up with
Paul Benowitz is the one that got tricked by Richard Doty, right?
Yes, that's okay. So he's not, Benowitz was not a photographer. I was getting him confused with Thomas Castello. Castello was the contracted photographer for some of these military projects. Okay. And so he was paid to go in and do and he's actually he's the one that got threatened, where he had to sign his, sign on the dotted line, under threat of death if he said anything. That's it. I'm sorry, y'all. I got the two confused. But nonetheless, the other guy was just a whistleblower that took pictures, I guess, of the UFOs over there and was determined to expose this, and to expose aliens were real. Thomas Castello. He's a photographer. He worked at Dulce, is what he says. He took an oath under penalty of death that he wouldn't say anything about the base. He photographed sensitive subjects. He stole a set of papers. And 30 black and white photos and some tapes. Boy, he was playing with fire, wasn't he? He was playing with fire with that. But I guess, okay, I want to quote him. Okay, he said, there are several things you should know about. I took an oath under penalty of death that no matter what I said or heard, I would never divulge the information. At the Dulce base, treason is anything that mentions the detail of daily operations at this facility. When outside the confinement of this base, when I first arrived, the story they told us was that this is a biotransfer facility with advanced technology, doing advanced adventurous methodology for medical and mental gain, which is a fancy way of saying they do really risky things with human life just to see what will happen. Ugh.
Biotransfer.
Yeah. Biotransfer. Well, cloning, that would be cloning, right? And hybridization programs. We talk about hybridization programs all the time with the dogmen and the cryptids. I mean, if you don't think that they're not making things genetically out of human DNA all the time.
It's been going on for thousands of years.
Millions of years, probably.
At least on this planet anyway. I'm sure much longer than that, but
yeah, it's really wild. Okay, so he had pictures of humans in pods, Barry. Let's see. Now I'm going to show this now. There are people who had come out and say, oh, that's all discredited now. Okay. Well, of course they're going to, if somebody puts something out and it leaks, they're going to be a disinformation agent that comes out, or maybe he's a disinformation agent. And then they have somebody else that comes out and puts, so they just muddy the water. So nobody knows what's real. Okay. But let's just say these pictures are real. This is actually leaked. These are pictures that he took. This is one. Okay. Dulce Base security officer Thomas Castello leaked this image to the public. I don't know. I didn't know that his family was presumed dead. I thought maybe he had been put into a mental hospital or something. I think that he may be the one that went into the mental hospital, or I may be getting him confused with the first guy. I don't know. Now I'm confused. But he is the one that put out some of these really crazy pictures. Here's a little bit more up close picture, but that's supposed to be human, I guess, clones in pods. That's just one of the pictures that he had.
Hey, do you think that's real? What about your audience? Do you all think that's real?
Good question, Barry. I'm not sure. It'd be an interesting remote viewing target. I know I just said I don't really want to remote view Dulce as a whole, but like these things right here would be kind of cool to remote view. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
J True Secret says that's not the actual picture.
I'd be interested. I mean, it's so hard to tell now with all the CGI stuff, but I think that's an interesting picture, to be quite honest with you.
That's
one way or another. I think it's very interesting. And when we think about the containment facility that you remote view, that was a blind target I gave you, that's not so unlike what some of the things you were describing there. Remember?
Right. True. Very true. It's not, I know, right? We have covered cloning and cloning facilities quite a bit. I even was given a remote viewing target by Akeem that was like underground Davenport. It was like a Davenport, Iowa, and it was a cloning facility down there. And he said that he remembers being there and encountered a blimmy. Okay, like a blimmy, like a person without a neck. Yeah, blimmies. Those are on old world maps. It looks like Humpty Dumpty.
Like Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, kind of like Lou Ferrigno.
Okay. No neck.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
I mean,
corny joke,
we have celebrities. Okay, so I
Um,
was actually debating it last night. I was like, well, should I do a show today on or tomorrow on on Dulce, or should I cover celebrities that have been recycled and cloned? Because I kind of that's a really good topic because there's so many of them that
it's a
are playing
popular
another
topic.
role. It's a very popular topic, and but it just is uncovering the deception of our media and Hollywood and everybody as to what's really going on. We have some famous
And the
rappers and stuff
the
that claim to be
obsession with
cloned.
celebrity kind of freaks me out sometimes.
I'm
People
not.
are
I don't
so
even watch
obsessed with
TV.
celebrities.
I know, right? I don't even like pay attention to that, but I do pay attention to who's a clone and
Hey,
stuff.
how about Kanye's new wife? Is she a
Oh
clone that goes
gosh.
around dressed naked? Anyway, let's talk about
Oh,
that another time. It was
that's sad.
that's so much stuff.
That's a sad situation right there. I don't know what's going on with all that.
It's called mental illness, man. I think that's it.
Oh, public nudity. I don't know. But
You
well, it
remember that
also
brother's
could be MK Ultra mind control as well. There's a lot of mind control.
well, that brother's bipolar too without any meds. So who knows
Well,
what
which
he's telling her
clone?
to
Which
do,
his clone?
man.
One of his 5 or 6 clones. Okay, so it's wild. Okay, but this is all connected though. So
something real quick I want to bring up seriously was that picture you had just showed in the anomalous containment facility that you had remote viewed, but also there's some contactees that I've heard described during their experience as seeing a huge ship that's got just hundreds of things like that on there with all of these different types of beings in those type of containment, and that they're being grown from almost what we would call micro slides, and it's some sort of arc. I mean, I've heard that a couple of times from different people, even during regressions and like through other testimony on social media. So it's just this food for thought. We start thinking about things like Noah's Ark, which the story we were told when we were younger is just ridiculous. But when you start dealing with something that would be a genetic, a seed bank, a genetic bank, it's totally different. It can be very small right now and contain DNA of almost everything on simple slides with the technology we have now. Well, I guess a little more or less than that, but just interesting food for thought, really.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot
Jamie
of
Foxx
celebrity
said he's not a
clones,
clone.
and then somebody said, "Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
always the clone thinks that they're the original." Always.
Well, I like Dr. Phil. The chick said, "You might be a clone robot." And he looked at her, he said, "Lady, do you think if I was a clone, I'd choose this face? This head?" He said he cloned it to hit something that had some hair. That was kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
But
he came out looking different.
I think when going into the cloning, it's something that sells so much, it goes so deep. You know what I mean? And when dealing with something, what I would advise people to really check out with what some contactees call the resurrection technology. And it's usually seen around the mantids, some of the mantids, the medium-sized mantids. And I know there's not many people have covered it. Like Linda Moulton Howe covered it in her book, Alternate Realities, Volume 2, I think it is. And the lady she kept focusing on was named Linda Porter. And she kept talking about Linda Porter had saw these vats and these things and this technology, this tube technology that they're called resurrection technology. Okay, and it's more different than what I've seen. This is a tube technology of some sort. All right. The people, I think the people, excuse me. I don't know if this thing is still around. There used to be a thing that was called Bases 18 on YouTube. And you had a bunch of people, like 4 or 5 different people that said they were target individuals and in that program. And it was like connected to Kruger, something like that. But there was a dude on there named Alistair. And Alistair kind of looked like he was like one of those wrestlers, kind of the long hair. But he gave a very interesting description of one of these contraptions that emits a false light that will try to attract a dead person to it, or just some spirit that is passing through our field of perception here. It projects this false light and tries to get it closer, then traps the body into the soul into one of these clone bodies, because they don't have the ability to put a soul into these clone bodies yet. And that's similar to what I dealt with individuals that had a positive contact. Okay. But I mean, the same situation there. They were trying to mess with fracturing their soul so they could put it in different dimensions.
Well, that we hear about that with,
bodies.
we hear about that with like those, some of the people who claim to be in the secret space program too, is like the fracturing of their soul basically, and like getting sent into different timelines and stuff. I mean, it's really hard it was, now it's not so hard, but when I first started hearing about it, it was so hard to wrap my head around it. It was like, how does that even work? But I don't know, with all these programs, I mean, that's probably what they're doing at Dulce.
You know, I had to deal with in my experiences very long time ago that I was exposed as an embryo to something similar like that. Okay. And that's why I'd seen another of me. Okay. And dealing with that time technology, why I've always been, there's a reason why I'm so obsessed with time technology, why I know so much about it, why I have that stinking hyperdimensional resonator sitting 10 feet from me that I'm not going to pull it out of that box again. But I mean, there's reason for this, you know what I mean? And that's why I listen to these people say, I have the altar, I have this and that. And I try to put it separate that from the people that I've known to have DID. Okay. They're very close when these people are talking. And I try to separate what might be fantasy from real mental illness from truth. You have to use discernment there, you know, but being that I've seen myself when I was 7, I saw myself. I didn't know that's who it was at the time. But when I got older, I could identify it and I seen when I'm wearing it. It was very bizarre and it tripped me out always. You know what I mean? So it got me looking very deeply into this resurrection technology that's not being used by humans, being used by beings that are so out of our frequency and vibration that they need liaison, beings that can exist there for a while and then exist here physically. Like for me, for example, when I was young, I could not. I talk about that physical temporal aphasia. It's not a joke. You get so sick that those experiences are about over. Missing time or not, you can only stay there so long. Whatever it is they're doing to meet us halfway. So what the better way is, you need some type of hybrids, some type of beings that can resist that temporal aphasia, that temporal distortion between these environments. Anyway, sorry, we're supposed to talk about underground Phil Schneider and stuff, man.
No, but it's you know, they're doing experiments that are fragmenting people's souls, I'm sure, and things like that at this Dulce base, and transferring consciousness from one body to another, and stuff that we hear about, that people who, you know, I've got good friends here who have been part of the secret space program, who remember these things being done to them. And so there's just, this is really, it's actually great to have whistleblowers coming out and talking about this and actually having the receipts to it as well. And before we move on to the levels, I'm about to get into the levels of Dulce. I know people are into that. The Desolate One is asking, Barry, have you heard some researchers were given artifacts to keep until a date from Dulce?
You know, I've heard that, but not concerning Dulce. And the person that really comes to mind immediately is Marcel Vogel, who was actually the Vogel crystals, but he was the IBM analysis, the researcher that did all this stuff with liquid crystals. He talked about how he was given not just those ship fragments from Billy Myers, but also different crystals that he thought were maybe not of Earth origin. And he did experiments on them. He did actually an analysis on them with the best equipment that IBM and all of them had back then. I don't know if he did it for IBM, but he's using that equipment. He designed some of it. Anyway, point being, he was saying some of these artifacts, that's he called them, how they would just disappear when they were completely in secured places, and they would disappear from where they were, like they were dematerialized. And he was convinced that he was giving them just to run the analysis on them to prove that they exist and show us the science, and then they were unmanifested. That's the only way I can answer. I hope that answers that a little bit. Yeah.
Or maybe a portal opened up and somebody just grabbed it and closed the portal back. I mean,
I'll tell you, if you get on my YouTube channel, one of the lives I did a few weeks ago, it's talking about Billy Myers and Marcel Vogel. Check that out. On there is a link to an analysis that he did in 1979 over those Myers ship fragments that completely break science in terms of showing that they were actually made by some type of cold fusion. We can't do that now. We certainly couldn't do it then. So food for thought again. Check it out. It's a link on that video on my live there.
Oh wow, this is a good question too. Baja Girl is asking. I wonder if clones feel more emotions and pain like the originals. I think so.
I've heard no. I've heard
Really?
no. That normally it's not the same. Yeah, that sometimes they're even lacking emotions. I've heard that. That there's something about the soul not being able to be in their bodies fully and not them being fully animated unless they've transferred our full consciousness into that body. That's what I've heard. And that's going through stuff like God, what's the guy, man, that oh gosh, he did they were doing the reproduction stuff on him, the Manchids and the Greys.
Not the Hills, somebody different.
You know, it's not him. This guy was everything he had was very, very sexual in that way, it seemed like. And he did a lot of hold on, let's see if I can just keep talking. I'll look as you're talking.
Okay. Well, the Desolate One wrote Barry alleged.
Oh, David Huggins. David Huggins, sorry. Huggins. Oh boy. I'm glad my experiments were I'm glad that my experiences work like that. They were doing a lot of stuff to him that was reproduction stuff, and yeah, David Huggins.
Ew, ouch. Okay. Well, the Desolate One wrote back in the chat, says Barry, the alleged flash gun. I think the plasma gun, I guess. First, Phil spoke of ID badges and footage of the inside Dulce. Don't know who they were left with, but probably George Norrie might know from Coast to Coast AM. So that's interesting. Like actual artifacts from these events were left with people and they just disappeared.
Well, I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna ask the Desolate One a question.
Yeah.
I don't know how old they are, but there was a movie when I was younger, about 81 or so. It's called Looker, and it starred Albert Finney and another guy, Tim Rozovich, the knockoff Magnum PI looking guy. But he had a gun. They had a gun that they were using. They even show it. In fact, you can go on YouTube and type in Looker, and that gun will come up. They show the diagram of it. They're looking at it going, it uses light flashes, emitted impulses of light flashes to actually trick the eyes to where people are missing time. That's how they're getting people. Then they take it into a CGI that you see sometimes these models getting all their face done and modeled by the computer, and then they make a CGI image of them for commercials. It's not really them doing it. I mean, that's pretty much where we're at right now. But that book, that gun, when they show that gun, when he mentions that, it makes me wonder if that's where they got that idea. That's just food for thought. I don't know.
Oh, maybe so. I mean, I'm having kind of like downloads and flashbacks of me seeing the same picture of what you're talking about, the Desolate One. I feel like I've seen a picture of this too, but back then I did not have the capacity to know what the heck I was looking at. Okay, I didn't have the information. I didn't even know what it was about. I just knew there was a man named Phil Schneider who was talking about aliens in a base underground and he got shot at or something. I didn't know. Now I'm deep in it. Okay, now I would love to see that picture again.
Tell you something real weird. Throw this out real quick. I've always thought that dude that showed up at your old house with the black eyes, I thought he had one of those guns.
He might have. He probably had something.
Seriously.
Really? I mean, well, they obviously can track me down because I have been found several times. So, but I did not open the door. That's why we don't open our door, people. Okay. Oh man, that's creepy. That's really creepy, Barry. Thank you for letting me know. Now I know it. That's why I carry my own plasma weapon with me everywhere I go.
And when you see Looker, like the dude will come up on these models, and whoop, and whoop, 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 and this time they're going like that. And also his time is missing, but they can't catch it at first. And I'm telling you, when dealing with some of these technologies these extraterrestrials have, I've been exposed to, they can operate things through the optical nerves. Some of them don't need a flash gun. They do it telepathically and almost through like a type of, I want to call it radio hypnosis, but it almost feels similar to that.
Oh my gosh. Well, that explains memory wipes, I guess, right? And I've probably had several of those. So, okay, let's get back to okay, I want to go down the levels of Dulce. Okay, I want to go down the levels because Thomas Castello was a big proponent of letting people know what the heck was going on with these levels. Now, of course, I didn't really go over this earlier, but there are a lot of, the claims are there's these magnetic levitation bullet trains that go between all of the different bases. And according to Phil Schneider, I believe he said there were like 131 deep underground military bases at that time back in the 1990s when he gave that presentation where he was doing all this disclosure. But there were thousands worldwide, of course, but about 133 at the time. There's probably a lot more now. Okay, but that was established back in the 1990s. Those are some of them that's in the area. There's a lot in New Mexico right there. A couple in Nevada.
I've always been told that that's an accurate one there. Mm-hmm. That's one of those first pictures I had seen of the underground bases.
Yes. Well, that one in Georgia, I live over here in Georgia. And that one that's in the middle, there's two in Georgia, actually. One of them looks like it's maybe I want to say Brunswick, maybe. I don't know. It's down there in the south. It's either Albany or Brunswick. I don't know. I can't remember which is on that side of the state. But the one in the middle is actually, looks like there's an Air Force base right there. And I went to let's just say a presidential rally. Okay, I know I don't get political on here, y'all. Don't worry. But I went to a rally a couple of years ago, and it was there. Okay, it was in that area, and so I got it is some kind of an Air Force base right there, some kind of military I want to say establishment is right there, but that's where that base is. Apparently, there's a deep underground military base right now there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me pull up this graph of the different levels. Okay, these are the levels right here. The first level is security and communication. Okay, and the next level is human staff housing. Now, Barry, they say human staff housing. They had to specify human. Isn't that what? Does that like stand out to you as being odd? Human staff housing. It stands out as being odd to me. The third level down are the executives and the labs. The fourth level are mind control experiments. There's where we get the MK Ultra and all that fun stuff. The level below that is the alien housing. The sixth level is the genetic experiments and the zoo. They call it the zoo. Now, some people will refer to this as Nightmare Hall. And you can imagine why. A lot of really bad experiments are going on there. And they say that the seventh level to the bottom is the cryogenic storage. That is where they are freezing the specimens for later use, I guess.
It's interesting because I avoided mentioning something earlier where we look at those vats. When dealing with cryogenic storage, I'm more into things that are less fantasy and a little more transparent. A company that's somewhat transparent, if they're still around, is the Alcore. ALCORE. Look at the cryogenics they were doing. And also Cryonics Laboratories, CRYIONCS. Cryonics. Those are both dealing with, they're the ones that are really trying to appeal to the elite to freeze their body just before they die in this cryogenic suspension, and then they reawaken them when supposedly there's a cure. It's interesting. Some of the earlier Star Treks dealt with that a little bit. They're resuscitating people that were like from our generation then. They're still acting all funny. They couldn't understand what's going on. They said, man, that my husband put me in that. He said he was going to do something, but I can't believe he did it. And then they could really revive these people and then cure them. But you got a lot of people spending a lot of money on that to deal with Alcor. I'm pretty sure it still exists. These are food for thought for everybody to look up. I'm not trying to, I'm no expert.
I appreciate your references to Star Trek because it is all disclosure. I mean, that whole show is just like soft disclosure, basically. What it sounds like. And it's so futuristic, but this stuff's been going on for decades, if not centuries.
And I think it shows when you start looking at that, like Star Wars, I think that's where this is a young galaxy. I think that's where this galaxy is starting to come from, the Star Wars type of thing. And now you're seeing, like when you look at Trappist, I think you're seeing some of the remnants of that. What these SSP people are talking about, whether it's neurogenic weaponry or it's reality, that's what's being portrayed and out there trying to keep us a part of that slave trade. What William Tompkins was talking about. You know what I mean? And right now, I think things are changing from this galactic empire. And, a lot of people right now, And one of your other shows were mentioning the McElroy files, or AKA the Lacerda files, and how Lacerda was talking about this galactic empire. It sounded very Star Wars like. I think that's where we're coming from, but I think our future is more Star Trek like. We've got a lot of these individuals here while we're still here. Some like these different federations, these alliances, and they're all different types. Like the alliance I dealt with, no one's mentioned them before. None of the people in these circles, okay? They don't mention the beings that I've dealt with, okay? And they used to drive me insane before I ever came forward, all right? But by the same token, you've got so many different. Like I never forget the day you started crying on me, and it was a positive message with the crop circles. And then I'll tell you who made it. I couldn't believe it when you were seeing that in the data. The Galactic Federation. Oh, I couldn't believe you know it. But it's what it is. I don't make fun of that. It just sounds so Star Trek like, and that's not the beings that they gave me their name is super silly too. So it doesn't matter. But I mean, the fact is, we had to learn. That was all to find out who was it that is trying to help us. We know that we have so many factions that are against us. Who's trying to help? And those are what those targets were about, and that's what you got out of that. Anyway, sorry, we're supposed to talk about Dulce, but that's so depressing.
Which was amazing. Well, we need these positive messages when it comes to things like that. But there was also that message of it being corrupted too. It's like there's so many positive messages that are being, put out to us. Okay, like they're being put out, but a lot of them are being intercepted and then turned around and corrupted in some kind of way. That's what's going on with a lot of these. Just everything in our world today, and hopefully we're combating that by even doing these shows. Okay,
you picked that up in the data of those crop circles, and it's interesting. Like when talking to Linda Moulton Howell personally, when we have this on my channel and stuff, she had mentioned, I asked her and the other lady, Patty Greer, who's definitely no fan of mine. Anyway, but they both describe what it's like to be in a crop circle that was made by negative intention, and how it makes you sick inside. The complete opposite of the ones that like you were viewing. You know what I mean? So it shows you how active these dark forces on distorting everything we get. The stuff about Dulce and what happened to Paul Benwitz, half of that stuff is real, half of it is crap, and they're trying to do what they call the double bluff, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, what Paul Benwitz, the stuff he was saying is a lot like what the guy that hacked into the files was saying. That's why I was getting him confused. But then this guy, Richard Doty, was sent to get him, and the whole thing was orchestrated to mess him up, and they even put fake bases and all this other stuff, fake places, things on the base, all these things to deceive him. When the reality is he was onto the truth, so they used the double bluff. I don't play poker, but isn't that what is done in the poker? Double bluff?
That's what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about when I did the intro today before I brought you up. I was like, well, there's knowing people who work in intelligence and stuff. And I've had, people that are retired from it, and they don't hide it. They're like, hey, things are going to get put out, and then there's always going to be somebody that like muddies the waters, and it's just always to keep the public not knowing. Okay, to keep everybody questioning, and then put under campaigns on people and saying that they're and hacking their computers to put like CP, if y'all know what I mean, on there and stuff. And like, I mean, I know that sounds harsh if you know what I'm talking about, but like they do stuff like that to ruin people, to discredit them, because this stuff, I mean, we're obviously being treated like cattle, so human lives don't matter when it comes down to it, and they don't care. If there's whistleblowers out there, they're going to squish them like a bug, no matter what. I mean, this one fellow right here, Thomas Castillo, said that he had to sign an oath, a contract by death. Okay. If he were to ever go against, break that contract, they could unalive him. Okay. And they probably do unalive people. Phil Schneider's not here anymore. Okay. A lot of whistleblowers are not here anymore. And I love my time.
Unfortunately, and some of them, like Robert Dean or Clifford Stone, they were so close to death. That's why they came forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, deathbed confessions, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I mean, even if that documentary that Jody Cook put together with the North American Dogman Project, and it was the guy they were talking about. It was like a fish and game warden guy, or just a guy who worked for the Fish and Game up in Kentucky, and he was talking about how he witnessed a wolf-like creature, tearing people apart up there and stuff. He was dying. I mean, he died that week, I think. But it was like a deathbed confession. It's like, it's right when you're about to die. It's like you can't hold on to it. You want to tell somebody.
Does Vic Cundiff know about that one?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Vic about that.
You should tell him. You should send him a link or something.
I'm sure he knows. He knows all Dogman stuff. His show's called Dogman Encounters, Barry.
I remember you guys did the interview. He said he couldn't find anything sustaining that one had attacked anyone ever.
Well, that's documents and stuff. Okay, so I don't know. Some people just go by government documents alone. Now, why would the government release documents like that?
Oh, it was only documented nobody's story. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying at some point, knowing what I know, and remote viewing what I remote view, there's not going to be, why would there be documents on that? And there might be, but there might not be. I'm just saying. I mean, I would assume that there's going to be, if people are signing contracts to not talk about aliens, and there's people in the government who know about werewolves, they're probably signing contracts that by, what is that, perjury or whatever? I don't know. Like if you say something, you will be on live talking about werewolves too. I'm just saying, why wouldn't they? And this is all just me thinking out loud. I'm not saying this is fact. This is for entertainment purposes only.
I just gotta watch you sometimes, Jones. You remember you think that the guy transforming on the howling was real. So I gotta watch you sometimes.
No, I said that they said that was the closest thing to being real.
I thought somebody said it was real. I was like, man, that was a real werewolf. I was like, that was Robert Picardo. He played the doctor on Star Trek Voyager when he got older. He's not a werewolf.
Oh my gosh. If he's in Hollywood, I'm just saying. If he's part of that Hollywood elite culture out there, I don't know, they might like to drink blood.
Are you saying my Dr. Pepper guy, David Naughton?
Maybe.
Oh.
Barry, open your mind, Barry.
Open
your mind, expand your consciousness when it comes to that.
I saw that movie. That's the Dr. Pepper guy.
Yes, he may really be a werewolf, though. He may be the Wolfman. Hey, ask for a Wolfman. Okay, here we go.
I can't say this because of that movie. I would never go walking on the English moors. I'll tell you that. I would never do it.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild. Oh my gosh. Hey, Terry. Terry's up in here today. Tales of the Sonic Voyage. You guys go subscribe on YouTube to his channel. This is awesome. He says, "Great show, Jessica and Barry. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support, Terry. I appreciate that." That's really cool of you to be here today.
I'm being goofy. You can't help it.
Yeah. Well, this is, if we're not laughing, we're crying. Okay, Barry, like I always like to say. Now let's go over some stats according to Thomas Castello over what else going on here, because I did show this graph here of the levels, the bases. This is another. Let's just pull this one back up. This one's easier to read. Take that down. Okay, he said there are over 180,000 aliens working at Dulce. They're divided into worker caste and ruling caste. The alien workers all answer to reptilian Dracos, is what is said there. The Dracos are not alien. They've evolved from dinosaurs and have always been here. They created races for labor, and they created the underground tunnels hundreds or thousands of years ago, Barry. The worker caste does the daily chores. They mop the floors, clean the cages, bring food to the hungry people and different species. It is their job to formulate the proper mixture for the type 1 and type 2 beings that the Draco race has created. The working caste work at the labs as well as the company banks. I mean, by the way, this place is 2 miles long. Okay, they say it's about 2 miles long, this building facility underground. Basically, the reptilian races are active at all levels of the Dulce base. And there are several different races of aliens that work on the east section at level 6, which would be the genetic experiments. And Thomas lived the rest of his life in Europe. He fled to Europe and he passed away there eventually. He lived there until he died. And yeah, so also, I forgot to mention this. They did mention that often the human hybrid experiments were put on display, like they had a zoo there. And it says the zoo. It says zoo right here on level 6, right? I don't know if it says zoo. No, it doesn't say that, but this was like a zoo on level 6. You could go down there and, you know, this is really sad. I mean, this is one of the pictures. Oh God, I don't know if I should show this. I don't even know if this is real. I'm sure somebody in the chat's going to be like, that's not real. Okay. But, hold on. That right there. It's not funny. I don't know if that's real or not. Okay, but that's if you go looking for like genetic experiments, it'll say that picture comes up. Okay,
it looks like somebody made a CGI picture of Tattoo from Fantasy Island. Boss, it's a plane,
Oh my God.
Come on, man.
They put clothes on it too, so I don't know. I'm just saying that's the picture that comes up, Barry. I knew you were gonna laugh at that one.
Sorry,
it's
almost as bad as the one you had. It was the brother that was sitting down with the hooves. Remember?
This is real life, Barry. Okay. Okay, so we know that they do. There's all sorts of chimeras and stuff being made. This has been going on since the beginning of time, and you know, I only have pictures of art. Okay, I don't have any of these like monstrosities to show you guys. I had that one. That was the only one I had right there. But there are. Okay, so this is weird too. Now this is going to trace back to like, oh God, I don't even know. I don't want to say it because I don't want my channel to gain that attention. But there's a thing that was going on about a few years ago, and it was, let's just say the Podestas. I think they were like the two Podesta brothers, right? And they had this art collection. And I think one of them worked with the Clintons, right? But he had this, oh God, here I go with the Clintons again. Oh my God. I just talked about them on Saturday night. But he has this art collection, and it's like animal-human hybrids. And there's this famous artist that makes this artwork. And I think it's a woman. And she makes these things. Now, don't laugh, Barry. You can laugh. I don't care. But it's like human no. It's like human pigs. Okay. Now, this is terrible, right? But this is the kind of thing. But why he would like show off his artwork and stuff too. But I'm just using this as an example, y'all. Okay. I'm using it as an example of something like, you know, they say that pigs, the kind of pigs that a lot of us eat for bacon, are the result of a wild boar and a human mix. I don't know. Have you heard that before, Barry? And would you still eat bacon if you knew that?
No, I can't say I have. Okay. It took me a while because the people in Australia were laughing at me because I kept asking. I said, "Do y'all have razorbacks?" They kept looking at me going, "What?" And if I said, "Hey, Mike, do you mean wild pigs?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess." When I was a kid, there was a movie called Razorback. That's what I thought. I don't know. You know, the thing of genetic experiments is no joke because it's real. But some of those pictures. Now, I will say the first picture you showed, I didn't laugh too much, but it's I did a video I've never released, and it's over hellhounds and the concept of them. I don't go as deep as what Dennis or somebody would do, but I became very interested in the different types of hellhounds, and especially the ones that are being reported a lot currently, which are these dogs with human faces. And the first time I heard somebody talk about that, it was back in the late 90s. Malachi Martin on Art Bell. He kept talking about these dogs and people that are haunted or got possession but obsession, and obsession is being actually tracked by these hellhounds, especially ones with the human face. And these people that are cursed like that keep seeing these animals with these human faces. So, especially the dog type.
Wait, I did that remote viewing target. Do you remember that remote viewing target? I don't know if you were. I think you may have been on the show with me, and it was like like a dog, but it had a human face. Do you remember that? It was on somebody's trail cam or something, and there was some discrepancy in it because some people were saying that it came from Mexico, and it was a witch. And it was a male witch that had transformed like a S-walker, and then some people were saying that it came from the UK.
The weird picture that was kind of didn't hold up. But it was a good picture, but like something was off or something.
It looked like it could be AI because of the hands or something, but a lot of people said it was legit. Okay, and we covered that. There's a video that we did on that. It's been a while. But it's not uncommon to hear about animals that have human faces, like the wolf woman of Mobile, Alabama, for instance. That was like a dog or a wolf, and it had a woman's face. And I've been hearing about this more and more lately. Are animals that are on, walking on 4 legs, and they have the face of a human. As a matter of fact, I have a picture right here of this thing right here. I mean, this is just an old picture of a human chimera kind of thing. Okay, it's like a lion with the man's face with I don't know what is going on with him. But people are listening on podcasts. You guys want to see all these pictures? I know we're sitting here kind of cutting up on some of this, but go to my YouTube channel, the Cryptid Huntress, and check it out. And you can see all these pictures there. But yeah, I mean, we talk about werewolves and dogmen and stuff. I know this is an interesting picture. I found this online today. I mean, imagine that's like a cat man. Okay. And
that kind of looks like Lon Chaney Jr., doesn't it? The Wolf Man?
It might be. Yeah, but I mean, just think about it. Daryl James has told me, he said, human DNA melds with anything, any kind of animal. Like you can, there's so many experiments that they do. I mean, he even talked about a giant spider human. And I've heard about that from multiple people that they used to.
Yes, what's the name?
Max.
Max. Yes,
yeah, Max,
I've heard that before.
I mean, they're obviously doing this stuff. They're obviously doing it. But now maybe we can pinpoint they've been doing it here. Now, somebody in the chat was saying that this base has been, they've gone, like it's not there anymore. Okay. Like they've jumped ship and moved to another facility. But I mean, who knows? It's just like people say Area 51 is not active anymore, but I was given a remote viewing target of there, unbeknownst to me what it was, and there was activity there. But of course, I was actually remote viewing from back in the past, so it was active when I was remote viewing it. So I don't know what it is today. So I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff, right? I mean, what do you think? This is wild, right? Body parts. Feeding, humans to ETs and all that, everything that we have talked about on different shows, it's all kind of like, this is a melting pot, so to speak. That's a terrible term, but for what we're talking about, but it's like, this is like the melting pot right here of like everything. The experimentation, the hybridization.
You've got the example of that lady Myron, and I'm pretty sure that's who Sprinkle was regressing, and she describes the torture she saw the cow going through. But it's not the only person that saw one of these cows getting levitated. Remember in Pauletti's 411 Missing Connection, he's got those construction workers that had saw that cow being carried away by a triangular vehicle that they described, and he put they're like an illustration of it. That thing looked much more like artificial intelligence to me, like a probe or robot to me. They carried that cow away. Remember that illustration?
Yeah.
It had like the 2 lights on top of it they were showing. Very, very interesting, and it makes you wonder, because you hear things like you've got this alternate Earth, a parallel Earth that these beings are coming from, where they've destroyed their own genetics, nuclear war, into the Ice Age, all the things that they went through that we've missed here, and that they're coming back here trying to harvest genetics for that reason. So it's a question: is it a parallel Earth they're coming from? Is it another parallel reality? Is it another planet? I mean, another dimension? Who knows? Because this place is like Swiss cheese dimensionally.
Well, it's really odd to me that, I mean, it's not odd, because when you wonder like why we're not getting full disclosure on ETs, it's because of this. It's because of stuff like this. This is why. Because our government is not going to admit to us that there is something that is out of their control and that they cannot defeat. We're America, man. We're supposed to be able to blow anything out of the water. Not this.
Well, the saying, F it, if you can't beat them, join them.
Join them. That's what they've done.
Do,
Allegedly.
You know, I
Okay.
mean, and just what you saw, which we don't talk about probably as much as we should, the remote viewing of missing 411.
Yep.
What you saw there, I mean, that was all
Oh my
that type
God.
of thing, even more advanced. And that's
This is
installation.
exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm. And that stuff you were seeing, man, it's old. That's not some new facility. I mean, technologically, it would new for us, but as far as how long it's been there, or they've been doing that, it's ancient. You know, I mentioned this before, and this is something one target I would never give you. The target with Ed Dames Day. You know, I can't find that anymore on YouTube, where he talked about with Art Bell. He remote viewed Satan and he remote viewed Lucifer. His whole team did. And what he said that Lucifer, they could not see him clearly because he was so far away, what they believe locked up in some prison place. And when you go to weird books like this Uranta book, which is so Judeo-Christian written that it's not, you know, for someone like me, I'm not have a religion, I have to pull that, extract that, and use discernment. But when they describe this quote unquote Lucifer rebellion, they describe Lucifer as being this light being that is actually trapped on one of the 4 prison planets around galactic center. They're these architectural spheres, what they call them, around galactic center, and around one of those planets are these prison planets, these moons that are prison planets, and he's on one of those. And Ed
Ooh.
Dames was describing that his team couldn't see him because of that reason. I don't think it's because he read this book. Then he started saying, but Satan is a different being. And this book calls us, our local star system, the Satania universe, Satania sub-universes that are, so anyway, they call it Satania. Okay, and it says in this book that Satan comes here to Earth. Now, Ed Dames said that his team saw Satan coming to Earth, a brilliant whitish light being, and that it was moving around these facilities,
Oh
these
God.
facilitary laboratory type of facilities.
Like Dulce.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I
Great.
know I probably mentioned that before, but I mean, stuff like that sticks out.
That's
And
why you can't say Jesus Christ at these places. Remember, we've talked about that before. People say that they had to sign some kind of waiver that says they won't say Jesus Christ at these underground facilities.
And you know, when you should ask next time you have Dennis on, ask him about this. What is his take on this? Because look, somebody doesn't have a religion, but I will tell you something. When dealing with demonic negative forces, why often does that name do something or get rid of them or make them go away or they hate it so much? You know what I mean? Even when, you know, even like when
Man,
dealing an earthbound spirit release, I can often detect by certain things if it's not an earthbound spirit, it's really demonic that's on this person trying to trick me. You know, you could talk about certain things about the creator and certain things about God and love. They get upset, very upset. But when people use that name, they really matter. So my question is this: why, when that name is used vibrationally in tone, does it do something? Not that I don't know, but I'm asking a question. I don't have religion, so I'm asking
that's a good
people.
question.
You know, and then you have others. Long time ago, I'd read a book. Mentioned it the other day on live by P.D. Ouspensky. It's called "Talks with the Devil," and that's some sort of a channeling. They're channeling a millions old demon, billions of years old, and it starts talking about there's no God and there's all these things like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But by the same token, they talked about this abyss that these dark ones can't go across.
They
And it
can't.
mentioned Adam and Eve, which I think was Inky in them, but I talked about earlier, but how they would try to actually attack them in this garden at night, them and their followers, but they'd be in this garden and this pink cloud will come around and surround them and physically take them off planet and across the abyss. And, you know, when
Whoa.
you start listening to things like that, but when you come across like, there's another book that's called, oh gosh, a Deadly Haunting. A Deadly Haunting by, God, I can't remember her name, right? Linda something. But, you know, they talk about one of the beings in there. It was this demon that was some sort of a person used to be incarnated, Prince somebody something. And they were so dark and they were trying to kill this woman's grandmother. She's supposed
Oh
to be a
no.
sacrifice in another lifetime. And she got away. and it's saying, I'm going to get her no matter what. And it's just torturing these people. And they tried to do the whole Jesus thing on that whole thing with them. And that thing laughed and said, I'm not going anywhere. That's just a good story. So what do you do when you encounter something like that that's maybe millions of years old and once had a human body also? It's really scary when dealing with that dark stuff. You got to be very, very careful, you know?
Yeah.
Real quick, Deadly Haunting. I'll get the name of it.
Yeah, it says, let's see, what does David say here? Also, followers of Christ Jesus are forbidden to work at some dumps. Wow. Well, I guess so. I mean, there's something about it, y'all. There's something about it. There's power in the name. Okay,
real
there's
quick,
power in the faith.
I hate missing a name and then falling off. It's called A Deadly Haunting, based on a true story told by Deborah Moffett, Moffitt, and it's written by Joey Albrecht, Albrecht. People should check that out. You know, Dennis and I had quite a talk about this on one of his shows because it's one of the worst hauntings I've read about. You know what I mean? To the point of where like all figurines inside the house, it would turn the figurines, the religious figurines, it would turn the heads backwards on them.
Oh God,
it's one that they could take a shower, make the bathroom foggy on the mirrors, and it will write on the mirrors and communicate with them on the mirrors. Very strong with it, follow them from place to place too, wanting to sacrifice the grandmother. So, you know, it's things like that. When I say that sometimes we have this stuff that we incarnate with, it's real. You know what I mean? We're so busy tripped out on that we don't live anymore. We're finished. You know, it's very uncomfortable.
It is. It is. Yeah, I mean, that's why I personally try to stay away from like the whole ghost hunting stuff and like Ouija boards and any kind of like anything that would like get you in contact with those lower vibrational frequencies. That was back when I was young. I was interested in that because it was fascinating to me. But not that I ever got into it really like that. But
hey, Jessica, so is that how you feel about those spirit boxes now?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes. 100%. I gave my spirit box away to somebody. I actually gave it to Farah when we went up to, well, I let her borrow it, but I didn't have the intention of getting it back because I really didn't care. I had two anyways, you know, but one of them wasn't working. I just never used them, and I didn't feel comfortable. I would never turn them on in my house. And I had that REM pod. I gave that to her too. I left that with her. One of my my ITC devices in my REM pod. Okay. Because, you know, it's cool. You know, we'll put them out when we do like Bigfoot stuff. We'd be out in the field, but we'd leave them outside. Like at night, we'd all go to sleep and like, they'd go off all night. We're like, well, what is that? Like even the manufacturers of a REM pod can't even tell you really what the REM pod's doing or like what's setting it off. It's just some kind of energetic that gets near the antenna and it makes it beep. So it's like, it was so annoying. It's like, it's freaking annoying. So I don't, you know, it is what it is. I kind of don't deal with that these days.
I've read some things about people saying that, you know, especially if you start looking into voices, people that start hearing those things when they're not turned on, they're still working, and the voices, they're hearing them in their heads, and all of our thoughts are not our own. So it's very, very dangerous, you know, and the voices are a lot like our feelings. They're invisible. Our emotions are invisible. We see the repercussions of them physically, but as far as they're actually invisible, so are these voices. And it's silly for us sometimes to think there's not a connection or there can't be. You know what I mean? And when we start going, and that's a dark practice. Then it goes in these things like Arkeem, everybody talks about, Matthew, everybody, the V2K technology, you know, this voice to skull and the different types of sound modulation they're using to control people. That even goes into actually radio hypnosis and things like that. You know, it's very, very, very dangerous, very dangerous. And dealing with these implants, like from Dulce in place, something that I think that your friend Paul Benowitz talked about was that they were used to I'm sorry, you know.
I know what you mean. I'm kidding. I think it's funny.
That's a problem when a brother talks too long. He's all confused up.
Me and him, we go way back.
But he talked about how they were used to track people and things, and Dr. Lear talked about that. But knowing what we know about technology now, I believe they also leave the subjects very much able to be manipulated, exposed to virtual reality scenario technology. I think that's another thing that it does, definitely. And I don't know if the people that had these quote unquote embedded beings were actually implanted or not, but it'd be interesting to find out. But that's something that just came from those masseuses in those expensive masseuse places that said they were seeing these grays coming out of people's occipital lobe, these holographic things, you know, controlled by the phone, turned off phones, emitting strange sounds.
Well, tones and frequencies have everything to do with ETs and stuff. All roads lead back to ET. That's what the head of my team always used to tell us when we were out there doing Bigfoot stuff. All roads lead back to ETs. I think it's real. I think that's the truth. When it comes to all this stuff, I mean, of course, we're talking about Dulce. Now, for whatever reason, I just got this picture of what's that guy's name? Emery Smith. Now, he was a whistleblower as well. He claimed to work in a lab with ETs. Now, was that at Dulce? Do you remember that? Oh. Okay.
Some people I don't resonate with. It's just that simple.
Okay.
But I mean, interesting testimony though. You know what I mean? But some things I found a little bit unbelievable because I read micro expressions and body language really, really good. So I'm very cautious. You know what I mean? But
yes. Well, everybody's got an opinion on a lot of these whistleblowers too, and so there's so much disinformation and people. Just like you said, what did you call it? The double blind something or another?
Double bluff.
Double bluff. Double blind, double bluff.
Yeah.
There's all that too going on. So I don't know what's what or who's who. Okay. But I just know that I remember him. I followed him at some point, and was really interested in his testimony because he was talking about getting taken into, I guess you had to ride in on like a bus or something to a facility and went down and did like medical work on, I don't know if they dissected ETs or like they were working on, I don't even remember, but I just remember you talking about working alongside different races of extraterrestrials, which is exactly what we're talking about today at Dulce. So I'm sure somebody in the chat would know because I have not looked over at the chat in a couple of minutes. But
Corey made similar claims to me personally. Not that he worked on them, but that he worked alongside all these beings and all these he interacted with. And then another one, I got to watch what it said because it's proved to be some things untrustworthy. You know, and it just sucks because we just talked about some of the muck that's involved in this whole thing, and that's when you start getting down to it right there. You know what I mean? But I guess I focus more on who all are they using that they can associate with to help bring the truth to light. You know what I mean? But as far as I'm always looking for somebody that feels as trustworthy as Clifford Stone did, or as trustworthy as Robert Dean did. I mean, those cats were all over it. You know, to me anyway, just when I had certain people I resonate with. Hopkins was pretty real too. It was negative what he was saying, but it is what it is. You can't make it right or make it fun or whatever. You know, but I mean, it's certain things like that. So some of these people that are involved with these places like Gaia and all that, my interaction with them wasn't very good when I spoke at the EXO, that one place. You know what I mean? So it's just little stuff like that I pay attention. And something I will say about the guy you just mentioned. Yeah. He was at the expo and stood right next to me. Of course, did not speak to me, but that's it's kind of when you get to some of those conferences, it's a who's who thing. It's a popularity thing, not the information you're presenting, believe me. But I will say something about the individual. They're a great deal bigger than I thought they were. They probably stand about maybe 6'4", 6'5", pretty good size. And I come from the land of giants. I'm not that tall, but my siblings are. And he's just nearly their size. I found that interesting. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
That is interesting. Yeah, we meet a lot of very interesting people at these conferences that we do, and we go to, and I mean, like I say, we are the disclosure, and so everybody, please go with your gut, and Barry goes with his gut, obviously, because you've got your opinions, and I've got my opinions. I go with my gut too. I'm a little more diplomatic about how I talk about it.
Oh, way more. You're way more. That's why I hang out with you. You soften me up a little bit, man.
I even it out.
Barry's a dick. No, I'm a prick. It's different.
I smooth out the edges a little bit as we're even live on air. Right, Barry?
Hey, quick question. I don't want to get off topic. Hey, have you heard some stories about Bigfoot just barging in people's cabins? and taking their food. I mean, just knocking the door down, just coming in and taking food and then leaving.
More recently now, yes, than I ever have. Yes, I've heard of Bigfoots and dogmen being in people's houses, or some sort of like werewolf or something being in people's homes, which is something I had not heard about very much. But now I don't know if that's, I've not had a eyewitness account personally, like where somebody told me firsthand. So there's a possibility that there could be some YouTube channels that are really, honing in on that right now. And so everybody's talking about it. So maybe that's why, but I don't know. I don't know what the phenomenon, why it's so prevalent right now.
Bigfoot Project. She just posted last night. And it was, I think the title of it is, I came face to face with 2 red-eyed Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Now, I don't know where that story was on in there, but during that one of the ones she told was several of them of Sasquatch just walking in people's cribs. I mean, kicking the door down, just coming and taking the food right there. Everybody runs in the corners. Oh my God. They take the food and then leave. And I was just listening more because I was trying to discern if they were more Sasquatch or more giant type. You know what I mean? Or mountain giant type. They sounded more Sasquatch. Yeah, it sounded more Sasquatch. It's just interesting to me. And it doesn't take much. You get somebody who's that hungry. You do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, and the people thing about it too. Very interesting. And again, I've been hearing a lot of these stories now, even more of them scaring children.
Really?
But it seems like they're playing a joke and stuff. You know what I mean? But in reality, are they gathering some of that fear energy for different things? And if you're a kid,
like Monsters Inc.
Yeah. And you think about, like, look, I was one of those people. I like scaring people. My dad was like that. They call him the cat. He's a killer basketball in his day, but they say he was a cat because he could steal balls so much and get by people. So he liked to creep around all the time and try to scare me. So it became kind of a deal to hear which wood squeaked on the house. You know what I mean? I started doing things like trying to learn how to walk across rice paper like the ninja so I could make any noise.
I love that. You're like the Karate Kid.
People like to scare people. Doesn't mean it's negative, you know what I mean? But if you got some sort of energy from it spiritually, just food for thought. I'm throwing it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My buddy Keith gave my son a book about how to be a ninja last night. So that was cool. I'm like, I know my son's going to go stealth mode now, but we call Bigfoots the forest ninjas, or at least Alan Thomas does. I love Alan Thomas. He's been on the show a couple times, 2 or 3 times actually, I think, but he's awesome. And he's one of the OG Bigfooters from back in the day. And especially online, he had a great show online. And so actually he actually was on the radio, and his show came on right before Art Bell's show.
Really?
On Coast to Coast. So anyways, shout out to Alan. What's up, Alan Thomas? He calls the Bigfoots the forest ninjas, Barry. And I think that is a perfect name for them. They are ninjas. For sure. Silent but deadly. Right?
Oh, it's intense. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I went out to that ranch in 2016, I had just done a video over invisibility. Something I practiced when I was younger, tried to find out how to make that electron cloud around you, how to get the light to bend around you. And the first thing you learn is how the eye operates and just how to trick people normal physically. But then you go into the metaphysical. And those are things I'm convinced they can do. And also they have the ability, they've got that oil on their skin, on their hair. Okay. And that just really kind of makes it even more to where they can bend light in a way that's really, really interesting, I think.
Yeah, like time travelers too and stuff, bending time, bending space, light.
Or like the Predator.
Or the Predator.
Think about the first Predator movie. You think about the first Predator movie, really the first one. They moved much. It moved much different than the subsequent movies. Outside the first 2, they start becoming these big giants that are running slow. The first, that thing was using the trees. And it was also cloaking. And I'll tell you what Sasquatch does. I think they use the trees a lot more than we think. I think their ability to jump between trees, despite their size, is really interesting.
Okay, I have to tell you something, because all these people are sending me this video. It's one video, and I've had multiple people send this to me this week. Thank you to everybody who sends me stuff, by the way. I love it. But I can't help but see on this. Okay, so there's this woman and she's in the woods and she's filming what looks like the predator. Like there's something off in the environment, and I've experienced this multiple times. And it is, I call it a disturbance in the atmosphere is what I call it, because it's like the predators right in front of you, right? And I've seen it. You can't put your finger on what it is because it's see-through, but there's clearly a disturbance in the atmosphere in front of you. And so they're showing. I watch this video over and over again, and it's like, is this a predator? Is this a cloaked Bigfoot? And if you look, I personally, I mean, this is me from a researcher standpoint. It looks like there's a straight line at the top, almost like somebody has taken one of those. Now, I don't know if this video was set up. I'm suspicious now because I saw what I saw. Now, I'm not saying that this lady was lying, that she knew this was going to happen, but she was walking, she got her phone out, and it looks like somebody's holding up one of those technology cloaking blankets to me.
Like and the metamaterial ones?
Yeah, the stealth technology is what it looks like to me, because I could see like a line at the top. And I mean, maybe I'm just seeing things, but that's what I thought I was seeing. And so I was thinking, man, that I'm not saying she was setting it up. I say that it's a possibility, but that could have been somebody. I mean, imagine if that's how they're like cloaking themselves, people right before they kidnap people. And like where a lot of these missing people are going, maybe they're using that technology and they're holding it up at a fork in the road or the side of a trail. And as soon as somebody walks by, they grab them because they don't see them because they got that cloaking blanket up.
Mm-hmm.
That cloaking technology, or they got a suit on that's got the cloaking technology. That's where a lot of these people are going missing. They're not stepping through a portal. They're getting taken by people in cloaking technology suits.
Well, just taking it again, I hate repeating myself on the shows we do, but
it's okay.
On the one that you had done over the Moe and remote viewing them and discovering that basically there's some type of mycelium mushroom AI. And then I turned everybody onto the AI mushroom bots that they're actually making at MIT and other places. And one of the things they're doing is trying to use radiotropic fungus to grow a skin for these robots. And one of that would be a metamaterial skin that involves invisibility. Because, of course, it's all about weaponizing everything. So, just in dealing with that. And so when you're dealing with that and any type of, just a technology that can project something that deflects light or bends light like that. That's what the Predator was using. Technically, it was a technology. They weren't just doing it naturally. Now, you've got with like the oil that Sasquatch have, the oil creates some type of refraction that creates invisibility also. That's documented, that real deep oil like that on hair. So that's something else they have. And then if you have a type of chlorophyll or anything like that in the hair itself, it really puts us at a disadvantage. And that takes us into Sasquatch / what they call in Europe, the green man.
I tell you what, we come full circle with these shows, don't we, Barry? It's so wild. It's so wild. There's just so much going on that we have not really been privy to for a long time, but it's been shown to us in movies and TV shows like Star Trek and the Predator movies and Predator versus Alien and all that stuff. It ain't so science fiction, y'all. A lot of this stuff is real life. And my friend that sent me to that one of those, that video of what I think is a cloaking blanket, I was like, run, girl, run. They're going to kidnap you. I was like, she better run. She's going to get kidnapped. And so, yeah, that's why it's so imperative that everybody listening to this, everybody watching, you guys, please pay attention to your surroundings. Because if something feels off, it's off. And if you see something that just doesn't feel right, walk the other direction or just turn around and walk away. Okay. Because there may be somebody waiting there to grab your ass and take you down to Dulce. Okay. So please be careful, y'all. I'm not kidding.
It's just like the movie Predator. Remember the Indian guy that was gagged for 48 hours? He kept looking up the trees. He said, those trees. And you can hear it kind of too. Those things are making sounds a lot. And just food for thought, just for fun. I think the predators were not reptilians. I think they're supposed to be insects, similar to a type of scorpion / mantid of some type. If you look at their mouths have, that's insect mandibles. And the way they were using the trees is the way insects do it also, more than reptilians. Just food for thought on that.
Oh my gosh, this morning, I saw a video online, and it was a part of the movie of the Predator movie, but they had put I guess a little suit on a dog, like a whippet, like I'd mentioned whippets earlier, like a little miniature greyhound or something. And they put this like Predator costume on it, and it ran like just through a hallway, right? And then you watch it in the movie, and it's actually like when it's a little baby or it just spawns or whatever the heck happens, and it runs through a hallway. That's actually a dog in a suit. They made that movie. It was the cutest. It was like the making of the Predator movie, okay, but with the dog with a little hat and a little suit on. It was adorable, adorable but deadly. So,
my brother and I love Predator 2. The scene where he's locked on the kid, but the kid has a gun, but it's a toy gun. He realized that he put his gun off, took the light off of him, and the kid's going, "You want some candy?" And every time that Predator was killing people, is "You want some candy?" It's kind of funny.
No, definitely don't. Definitely don't. Oh my gosh, don't take candy from the Predator, y'all. Cypher.
That's a
question. Where does the GHB found in missing people come from? Barry knows this one. What do you think,
actually,
Barry?
you know it because you know that.
Yeah.
One of the things. That's a great question, actually. Oh God, I can't pronounce that. Was Cypher? Sucking with my pronunciation the last few days. But something where that really came up was the autopsy of the people that were found in water. They had so much GHB, like 30 times the amount you could get at a club. So much so that it implies when they were dumped in the water, they died because they couldn't swim, they couldn't move. And according to the data that you got, and that you started seeing those when it was connected to those submarine tunnels and laboratories that were connected to these submarine tunnels that most have not ever heard of. So I think it's in those laboratories is where that GHB is coming, because that's what I thought too. I can't remember the name now, sorry. But I was thinking, where in the world would they get that much GHB out in the middle of Yellowstone? You know what I mean? But it's in one of those laboratories they're being connected to. In fact, you even saw some of the ways they were getting people there weren't just abducting them, but also those portals, like almost snap portals people are falling into. You know, it says a lot. We started looking a lot at what our science is now doing now with creating black holes in laboratories. Pay close attention to that. You know, I've been talking a long time about how a ship I was on board projects a top that actually opens up a Mako. Then they start riding gravitational waves through it to the destination, which has an instantaneous type of a deal throughout the universe. I think throughout the universes, it might be somewhat of a constant. So anyway, sorry, that's getting way off. Great question. That was a great question.
Wow. That was a great question. Yeah, we've definitely talked about that before. And yeah, if anybody wants to see that video, go to my remote viewing playlist, and it's under it's the Missing 411 Missing Persons Clusters remote viewing video. So y'all go check that out. We did that a few months ago. Fantastic targets. That one about bled me dry, man. I was worn out after that target. But it was so important.
Heard of that name. I'm gonna write that down. Splice. Never heard of that.
Splice. I've heard of Splice. There's actually a picture that I put up about Plum Island sometimes, I think, and it's maybe from that movie Splice, because it's like it looks like an animal human hybrid or something. Yeah. So very interesting. Splice. Yeah, it's about human animal gene splicing and stuff, I guess. So that is a cool comment. Thank you, Commander Zonar. It says, Jessica, each time you do a show, you open up more of the timeline to be fully embedded, and you send out ripples into the pro-consciousness stream of the planet. Thank you, especially when Barry's here. Of course. Thank you. That's very sweet, Commander. I appreciate that.
People off. I'm not pissing people off.
We're causing ripples. Hey, causing ripples is the same as pissing people off, Barry. I'm just kidding.
You know, there's times when I wonder, like, connections of things. Like, you've got the submarines doing that, and the same token, you've got these phantom islands, which we know are ships from the data, which I thought anyway. But I mean, it's things like that. Like, how many different species we have here? Not just cryptoterrestrials, but all the stuff going on here, and how intermingled everything was in the past. And I think that's what we're coming to now, is everything becoming that again. We just got to make sure that it's not on the negative vibe. I mean, evil just roams around down here everywhere. It's a lower vibration down here. You got evil going on just everywhere. Satan or whoever in the laboratories. I mean, it's crazy down here. And I'm hoping that that's really what's changing, and you're part of one of the people doing that. It's like my brother had mentioned recently. He said, she's got a great reference of library on her show. It's like a reference of library for all this cryptid and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's cool, because that's what I wanted my channel to be. That's why I made those videos. They're all shorter, but it's not about me sitting up looking very studious. It's about people doing their own research and learning for themselves. Because most of the people that follow me are experiencers. It's not like you are. It's not like I'm special. We're all unique. You know what I mean? But this is our experiences are all unique. But as far as being special, I wish, but it's just not like that. We got like 70% of the population that are contactees are unaware of it, because it happens in the dream state, in the theta state, in the delta often. What are you laughing about? What's going on?
Oh no, I'm directing my son to give Freya some treats, because she's like making those little noises. She heard me talking about a dog. She heard me talking about other dog. She's trying to jump, but she wasn't asleep.
You and David Pauletti's got some snoring dogs in your videos. What is it? Your dog, and what's his name? Huck TV.
Yeah. He's got a cute dog. Yeah, he's got like a white lab or something. She's or golden retriever, maybe.
Not Frida, right?
Yeah, Freya's a German Shepherd, and she loves her treats. We've got them right here. So my son, Ben's home from school for winter break, so we've got her treats. So there you go, Freya.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Does she smell Sasquatch? Do you take her on Sasquatch hunts?
Yes, she will alert when something is off in the woods, for sure. Yes, she alerts, but I try not to take her. I don't take her where we do like our big time Bigfoot research and stuff. I would never do that. But where we go like hiking and stuff, and we do have some Bigfoot activity, she goes, but it's just during the daytime. So yeah, she's there to protect us, really. That's why I take her. She's really there to protect and to get some exercise.
I sometimes wonder where that begins and ends. Okay, it's because we've heard about how often Sasquatch will kill dogs, and I've heard always it's because they alert to their space, their location. But then you have stuff like what MK Davis has on his channel about the dogs, and some of those dogs seem like they know the Sasquatch. They're not running or anything. You have others that got the hell out of there, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I've heard these things from hunters saying they've seen Sasquatch that come out with these timber wolves with them.
Yeah.
And I've even read a couple of things, like, was it Yellowstone? They see Sasquatch fighting timber wolves, like the way brothers are fighting the Michael Vick or whoever was fighting the dogs.
Oh Lord, Michael Vick.
I mean, but it's really interesting when you hear stuff like that. I mean, like literally, timber wolves are huge. But they're saying that they're seeing them, they're fighting them like they're like a whole dog ring type of thing. And I can't say that's real, but it just makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, I do know that my dog, I had her trained early. Okay, I actually had her in like a training school, and she doesn't leave my side unless I tell her to. Usually, I mean, she'll leave my side occasionally especially if she sees a squirrel or something. But yeah, she's going to be either right beside my heels or my son's all the time. And so, but I don't know. We've never really encountered we did have the last time we were out in the woods. We did have something that was clanking rocks together. Actually, it was just me and her. Actually, that time I know I shouldn't be telling everybody this, but I was out there and something behind me it was like I don't think it was a person. But occasionally I'd hear some rocks clanging together, and she alerted to it and was like, she will know if I turn my back, she looks like she faces my back. Like she faces opposite of my back. So she's she's got eyes behind me and I've got eyes here all the time. Like she's awesome. I love my dog, y'all. She's amazing. Cool. And that's why I put up with her snoring and panting hard right now. And I give her treats because she's a good girl. So, but anyways, yeah, I don't recommend taking your dogs out if you're going Bigfoot hunting or investigating, let's just say. But it's good to have a dog with you if you're out there hiking. It for a lot of different reasons. It's good. But
they're all over me to mention this stuff. I don't believe this. It makes me look weird, man. I start picking stuff up and they want me to say this, and I try to act like I don't, but it happens all the time. You know what I mean? So look, it must be for somebody in the audience. Because it's interesting that you are a lifetime contactee like me. And I'm surprised that you haven't encountered what I call a charter. And for lifetime contactees, and maybe it's changing time scale now because we're in a different era and things are progressing, but it used to be every 7 years. Every 7 years, I would encounter somebody who was just heavy. And when I say, I've talked about this before on your show, but they come out of the crowd, either at a bookstore or at an auditorium or an airport, a bus station, somebody that comes out and starts talking to you. And you think, I'm kind of friendly, but not that much. People come up talking and I'm like, what's this MF want? I don't really like stopping chats. Like I go to the store, I go in there to get what I need to get and leave. I don't want to stop and chat with people.
Stop and shop.
My friend said, my wife loves you, man. I said, why is that? She says she sees you at the store. You just wave and you keep walking. You never stop. I said, no, I don't do the stop and chats. Anyway, sorry, go on.
I don't blame you. We don't do small. Small talk is not on my list of favorite things.
Yeah,
right.
And then somebody will come up and start doing that. It's come up with this, but it's not even just small talk. I mean, they come up immediately, and Jessica, they say something so heavy that you're just intrigued. Excuse me. And I mean, then the conversation probably isn't very long. But they say some things that are so heavy that they move your consciousness forward. And they have an energy on them that pushes you a little bit. And when I say that, not like somebody with ADHD that's doing that makes you kind of, whoa. No, it's like an advanced push. Like somebody that's an advanced human. And to a point to where some of them have even read me through my shields psychically. I'm pretty protected. Okay, so these individuals, I call them charters because they come about every 7 years. And they make contact with those of us that are lifetime experiencers. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying when I see one of these beings, I say, oh, hey, are you a star being? It's not like that. But I mean, but there's something about their energy when you can tune in. Mm-hmm. That's very different. And every 7 years they come around. When I first came forward in 2014 and mentioned that, I had so many people contact me by email saying, man, something like that happened to me. Okay, and it happened. I heard a lot of people saying it happened in a bookstore. A lot of people saying it happened on an airport, and then this person comes and says something to you. Hey, Jessica, this and that. And you're like, whoa. And then they're kind of just gone, man. They go back in the crowd, well, who the hell was that? And it's just, it is what it is, but it lifts your spirit. And every 7 years they come. For example, one of the 7th year, I'm waiting for this charter to come and it never happened. I'm like, man, what the hell? I'm watching every person that comes up to talk. I'm on them.
Boost. What I mean? Yeah, you needed that boost.
I'll tell you. One of my 7th year, I went out for the first time to speak at that Assetti Ranch, or it's the second or third time.
Yeah.
And that elder was all over my butt. Excuse me.
No.
Excuse me. Sorry. Almost pulled a Booker T there. Sorry. The elder was all over me. And that's the year I got the mind speak. And I think he was my charter for that year. Because they're not
interesting.
And I used to think they were humans. And to be honest, their energy, I'm asking you because somebody's experienced this in your audience, and I thought maybe you had. But their energy to me feels like, seriously, if we don't blow ourselves up in the next 1,000 years or so, they feel like maybe what we'll be before we change to a different container of consciousness. We start getting really advanced. They feel like that to me. So I can't say they're not human, okay? Food for thought. I'm just throwing that out. If Spirit wanted me to do it, they laid off me now. So
it's next level stuff, y'all. This is a next level conversation we've been having today, y'all. We hadn't noticed. Barry, we always have next level conversations here, and you bring the heat with it. I appreciate that. And I mean, it's almost like what do you call it? Not downloads, but it's like activations, right? It's like they're activating you, and I get that a lot when I get around people. Especially at these conferences that we go to, because it's like-minded individuals on that frequency that you're on. And so we're all just getting major downloads. When I was at that Florida conference, the Full Disclosure Now conference, I was getting major downloads from a couple of those people there. When I've gone to just not anywhere, especially with the higher vibrational talks that we have when it comes to intergalactic topics, let's just say, those are the ones where I'm getting the most downloads from people. And so I highly recommend you guys going to these things and meeting people in person. It's very important because you do get, once you get people like that in your environment, you're going to naturally receive downloads and naturally receive activation. So please do it if you can. It's worth it.
You're very right. I'm glad you said that. To be honest, I got invited to a couple of conferences before ESETI, and I didn't go to them because I didn't want to. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I don't think I can take it, yada, yada, all these reasons to not go. Then I finally went to one ESETI because I wanted to meet people from Australia, and I've never been to that part of the United States, not that state. And I wanted to see what it was like. You know what I mean? But I tell you, it was like the one I met you last time I saw you at one of those conferences. There's some gentlemen. It's the people in the audience. It's not the presenters normally. Like we had the one big brother that was the boxer. You have English, Joby, was that his name? He had a great.
I just talked to him yesterday or day before. Yeah, I just kept in contact with him. He's got a big fight coming up, by the way.
The Caucasian guy with the thing, his name was like Joby too. There was like
Joby Cummings. Okay, there's Joe Joyce, who is an actual a heavyweight boxer out of the UK. Okay. He's a friend. I literally talk to him often online now.
Okay, that's not Cummings. Cummings is the
Joe.
Caucasian.
He calls him his nickname is Joby, but his name is Joe Joyce. He's a boxer. Yeah,
and he's pretty good too. I watched a couple of his fights.
He's got a big fight coming up.
Yeah,
he does.
He's a big brother too, man. I can see he can probably throw down, but he's so nice. It's real cool. Kind of like the one brother, the one guy that we did the show with, Jeremiah. Is that his name?
Jeremiah Fountain.
Yeah, he's cool as heck. I saw him on YouTube. He's knocking cats out. He's another one of those badasses, man. I was like, wow. You gotta watch the nice guys, man. Okay. Right. That's kind of neat though. But those guys have really good energy, and it feels good when you talk to them. They're not know-it-alls, but they're really intelligent. The other Caucasian Joby, he's real good on the Ranta and some things I reference. You know what I mean? It's just real. That's cool. But meeting people like that is what it's all about, and it's what I think that's what's changing the tapestry of everything. That's why you got so many people copying you, my friend. Don't mean they're not good
said
people.
It, not me.
It doesn't mean they're not good people. It just means that you're kind of a pioneer. I don't even like that word, but that's kind of what it is. Trailblazer, I guess, is a better word.
Well, it's all about getting the information out, and if that's how, it's just being dispatched out. Okay, it's just being put out, and that's what we're here for. Okay, that's what we're here for. So that's all good. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Philly Coffee Show. That was a long time ago. Somebody else that doesn't interact with me anymore. But that's all right. That's really cool.
It's okay. We have fun over here on my channel now.
We have a great time. You're the one person I believe in the work you're doing. That's why I've stuck around. You know what I mean? I'm nobody special, but I like real people, though. I don't like fake people. I don't like people that are so mentally ill that you can't get along with them. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. And that's important. There's so many of those in this community. It's unreal. That's why I find you very, very refreshing. And I had no idea when we first met, that was your first conference. I mean, I've done a bunch of them, but I don't pay attention to that as much. You know what I mean? You didn't act like that was your first one. You were so sociable with everybody. And that's really what that's about, is talking to everybody. That's the fun part of it. It's not about presenting. It's about talking to like-mindeds. And, if I ever did one of those, I would make sure there's a section where all the attendees got to stand up and ask the presenters and tell their stories. It's the attendees that have the stories. And God forbid, as well as I do, if you're one of these people, we've met some, they're liars. They don't have any Artron energy on them. You can tell they're not contactees, but they make huge claims. And you get around them like, how this person doesn't feel like a contactee? And then they get up there and they tell a story that's mostly fantasy. And you've got a ton of people in that audience that are psychics, mediums, and also contactees. And sometimes star beings will tell on these people. I've seen it happen to people. You know what I mean? It's if they're lying, and the star beings tell on them.
Oh, no.
And you know what it is?
I know. Well, the truth will always be exposed, and I don't know. I just try not to, I don't judge. Okay, if somebody, you can't, we all live in our own realities and stuff too. You know what I mean? And you can't discount people's experiences. And so, you know what I mean? It is what it is, Barry. Okay.
Just keep what you're doing, though. And it's really cool because you reach a lot of people and you deal with a heck of a lot of people. I mean, just as a host alone, you have really good people on your show a lot. People have different views, and it's a chance to really learn and stuff. And you do a lot of work. I mean, you put out a lot of shows a week, and it's a lot of work. So I have nothing but
it's wild, right?
my hat to you, you know. And I
Well,
see a lot of people
you,
start coming back. Hey, man, I found you on Jessica. I like what you guys are talking about. I'm getting that a lot now, you know. So it's really helping people. That's important, you know.
That's what I'm here for. That's what we're here for, and that's why I like working with you too, and everybody that comes on my shows. Like they do a fantastic job. Everybody that comes on, and yeah, I mean, I threw this show together last night, and then I waited until this morning to ask you to come on with me because I didn't want to hit you up at 2 a.m. Okay, Barry. So I will.
I'm always up. Don't worry about that.
But you know what? And here's the thing: it's like when I'm resonating, when I'm working on something, and I'm like resonating with like who's going to have the best information on this? It's like I immediately called you as soon as I woke up this morning. I was like, Barry, we got to do the show. Would you like to do the show today? I didn't say you had to. I just said, would you like to join me?
It always makes me nervous. But you have a bunch of people that know a hell of a lot more than me. So I was getting nervous.
But you know what? No, but we all have our specialties. Okay. And I knew that you had just done that show on the video on the implants. And you guys, please go and watch that show on Barry's channel. He's got a wonderful video on implants. He's got wonderful videos on all this that we talked about today for the most part. So y'all, please go over to Barry's channel. And support Barry. Barry, you've got a wonderful channel. You and I have really done a lot of work together. We really have.
Oh, you know, it trips me out every time I look at it because sometimes even you'll mention something. You mentioned something earlier. I was like, I don't think I was on that show, and you said a couple of things like, oh well, I was.
It was that Skinwalker
memory, and you can always text me whenever. Look, I'm up walking normally. Well, not now. It's too much snow on the ground, but 3:30 to 5 a.m. when I get a lot of my information sent through, and I'm always out doing my I survived 4 catastrophic traumatic brain injuries celebration walk. It's 3:30 to 5 a.m. But after all these years, I still do it. So
it's a celebration.
Yeah. I'm you know, not just that I'm blessed to be alive, but I'm really blessed to be cognizant. And at one point when I was recovering, the very first before I remembered who I was, I know what it feels like to not be cognizant anymore, or to forget who you are. And for me, I'm kind of a decision maker. Okay. You take my pattern of decision making away, it's taking who I am away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like those of you that remember when Captain Kirk got split into two. He had the good Kirk and the bad Kirk. The good Kirk couldn't remember now. He couldn't command. He was sitting up there. You have to. He couldn't. It was the bad part of him that was allowed to make those snap judgments. You know, so it's just interesting, something like that, and that's why I have so much care for people that have a brain injury or recovering. I know what it's like. It's no easy feat, you know. And being somebody that survived that and met others, it's a trip. Some people think it's invisible injury, not if you're the person going through it. You know what I mean? Or a supporter. You know.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm glad you're here, Barry. I am so glad you're here now. I'm glad you didn't quit and give up on your research and being public about it and even coming forward, because it does take, you know, I mentioned earlier in the show, like it takes a brave soul to come forward to talk about the things you've been through and the things that you know. And it's I mean, it was some of these people, even in the disclosure community, like even Phil Schneider, you know, it cost him his life to do this. And you went through a near-death experience. You did die and came out, and you are doing great work today. And I know the world appreciates it. The Galactic Federation appreciates it, Barry.
You know, I will say thank you. You're a big part of that. If you remember when we first met in person, I told you, that's this last conference I'm doing. I'm done with this stuff.
Yes.
I'm not going to. I've dealt with too many crooks in this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I told you that several times. And, you know, you're one of the people that encouraged me to go on and kind of, you know what I mean? And working with you has been so fun that it's been very good incentive. So thank you for that.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad. Well, we just have fun over here. We're just having fun and spreading what we know. Which is,
and
I guess
by
that's
the
a good
way,
thing.
Man, this chat, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up. This chat is flying.
It is amazing tonight or today. It's not even tonight. It's today.
It's cool to see you growing. You're growing. You know what I mean? You're reaching a lot of people. That's great. I think you're just getting started.
Thank you, guys.
I want to see you like somebody else I worked with. In fact, somebody was just mentioned recently. And when I first started working with her, she had a huge following before she kind of went off YouTube. The other person I walk with, watching both of you broadcast at the same time, you're getting more numbers. You're getting up close to 300 sometimes. but they've got 5,000. I want to see you at 5,000.
Oh, yeah, rub it in, Barry. Just rub
I'll
it in.
start this week at 2,500. Oh, you arrogant. You know what I mean? But anyway, I want to see you. I want to see you get there, though. You're helping people. It's important, and that's where you deserve to be.
Well, thank you.
Hanging with you. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people. So
it's all good. I appreciate that, Barry. That's very sweet. And I want to say thank you to Larry Sharp too for gifting that Cryptid Hunters membership. I just put a video out like 2 days ago with the Hunt. It's called the Hunt Club. If you guys want to join the Hunt Club, it's my channel membership here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, and I just hit the join button, become a member, and I'd put exclusive content. This past one, I actually talked about time wasters. Okay, so and a bunch of other stuff too. It was like an hour-long video, and I love talking about things that I've experienced and trying to help other people. And this past time, it was time wasters. Y'all be aware of the time wasters in your life. Okay, I'm too busy for that. And also with Cypher. WH Cypher, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that. Great show. Thank you guys. And thank you for all your comments today and everything, and for contributing to the live chat today. Everybody that's been in our chat, thank y'all so much for contributing today. You really do make the show much more, even more interesting than Barry and I could ever make it. And you guys are super amazing. And I do see all of these recommendations for people to come on the show. I will absolutely write all these people down, and I will reach out, and we'll bring some of these folks on in the future. I do appreciate it.
Travis Walton. I saw that. You know,
Linda Moulton Howe and Travis Walton.
An interview that was done on my channel when she asked me to lunch, and this guy followed us and filmed it. So that's there. But after that, she kind of fell off. You might be able to get a hold of her, though. Another one, Travis Walton, never met the guy. Last time I did an interview with Jimmy Church, he said, I want to get you and Travis on together based on the fact that I've seen Caucasian people in the blue suits that I call the commission. But, you know, he said something else on an interview. He asked me, he said, Barry, do you know anything different about Travis's experience? I said, well, at that time, it's years ago. I said, I'd heard that actually he was being healed because the light struck him and killed him. When he was looking at the thing, he get out to look at it, and that they were healing him, that he wasn't being assaulted.
I think that he says that. Actually, he is good friends with Matthew Delph, by the way, and Kristen that's on my team. They're all good friends, and so I can 100%. I know people, y'all. I can get them on. I bet I can get them on the show.
I like Matt Delph. I'm a fan of his, and it'd be cool to get Travis on. I felt sorry for him. You know, back one day somehow I must have been having some beer or something years ago, and I saw him on the Kardashians, and Bruce Jenner was dogging him out, man. Oh yeah, Khloe Kardashian made Travis Walton take their whole family to Area 51.
They're probably
and Bruce Jenner was so rude to that cat. And he was saying, he goes, man,
that's horrible.
He was still Bruce then. He wasn't Caitlyn yet. He was still Bruce. What? That's not an earthbound spirit possession or nothing. But we're not going there. But anyway,
man.
But yeah, so I always felt sorry for him. I was like, man, that's so rude. Because what he's presenting is real stuff, you know?
It is.
Your life. It doesn't matter how much media press you get. You know, even a positive contact can ruin your life.
I'll be darned. I didn't know. I don't watch that show. So
neither do I. I just haven't
seen it. Yeah, you do. You just gave yourself away, Barry.
No, I don't watch the Kardashians. Don't be ridiculous. You already exposed me for watching wrestling and General Hospital. You're not going to give me on the Kardashians. No, I'm not that messed up.
Oh my gosh, we have fun. I tell you, if y'all don't think we don't have fun here, we have fun over here. But that's terrible. Travis is a really nice person, actually, and he is really good friends with, like I said, with Matthew. You know, he's an easygoing kind of dude, that badass monster hunter. He was in the chat the other day on Monday.
Man, I think Matt should come on your show and show that video. Just a minute or two of it.
I keep asking him to come on here. He's the one that has the video of the orbs that turn into aliens. You guys,
that is a
Barry
game
and I
changer.
talk about all the time.
That's a game changer. That video.
It's a game changer. It's a collective consciousness game changer. It will change the entire collective consciousness. Everybody watches that, and so he does. He shows it at conferences. But yeah, we'll see. I'll get him over here. We'll do some of those Jedi mind tricks on him. I'll get him over here, y'all. Don't worry. I'm just kidding. Oh man, this has been such a fun show today. And
don't forget,
Travis should have stayed in the truck.
Tom Powell. Don't forget Tom Powell.
Oh, you get Tom Powell on too. I saw him on the what that guy's name, Untold Network, Doug Hijack had him on the other day. So that was a great interview. The desolate one, this is a good point. Travis should have stayed in the truck because he got curious. Curiosity killed the cat, right? Just like this lady, what was her name? Myrna Hansen. Myrna Hansen got out of her car too and got abducted and ended up in Dulce or somewhere getting probed. Y'all be careful, man. And it's not funny, but it's let this be a warning to everybody listening right now. Do not exit your vehicle.
I'll tell you, I agree with that so much. My second experience, adult onset missing time.
Yeah.
Somebody was with me. So actually the first one, I'm sorry. And somebody was with me. And at the end of this, we're like back in the car and I start seeing this thing is taking off, but there's like, I thought it was a helicopter, maybe police, the sheriff or somewhere in the country, shine the spotlight on us. And they say, oh, Barry, they probably want us to go aboard again. Let's get out and go up there. And they start opening up the door. I reached over and grabbed the door and said, you out your mind? I was going to try to take off. Then all of a sudden, we're turned around. The car is turned around on the street, or on the road, this country road, and we're standing outside of the car. I don't know how.
Oh,
see what I'm saying? This was at the end of the experience that was already over at this point, I thought. You know what I mean? So this is proof. But I agree with Desolate One. I didn't want to forget that, man. It's all cool. It may be, even if it's a good experience, it disrupts your life in terms of your missing time. You see beings, you see technology, smells, whatever it might be. It's with you, and you can't focus on your normal life. It makes it really hard. I was obsessing, man. You know what I mean? Trying to get out there, trying to make it happen again. They wasn't working. I mean, I even tried to eat some blue Hawaiian mushrooms. Since I knew there was a mushroom texture inside of the craft, I listened to Terrence McKenna. Maybe I can eat some mushrooms and I can make it happen again. I went out there and freaked out for hours in the country, but I didn't have any spaceships. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. Don't lick the walls of the spaceship.
I was in my teeth. But, I mean, it's still a point of where it's stuff like that. We got to be careful, like calling in the ships. All the stuff you say, it's really dangerous.
Yes, be careful. It's dangerous. There are repercussions, you guys. So potentially, I'm not saying all the time, but maybe potentially. So the more you know, right? And yes, stay in the car.
That's a beautiful name there. Is that Alea?
Alea, I think.
Alea.
It's not Alan, right, Alea?
Beautiful name.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I know. Man, okay, this has been a fantastic show. We've gone almost 3 hours a day, y'all. This is over 2.5 hour show, and it's during the day. Oh, I guess my daytime show. This has been fantastic. We had a great turnout for the show today in the live chat, and it is just, man, y'all kept me on my toes today, everybody, and I appreciate it. Barry, where can everybody find you? Tell the audience about your YouTube channel, your Patreon, whatever you got coming up, whatever you like, and your services.
These people are kick ass, man. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was watching the chat too much. I mean, they're so fast. They're so intelligent. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Barry Littleton, Barry Littleton on YouTube and Barry Littleton on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I've got a website, but it sucks. You can email me at barrylittleton13@gmail.com for services. I started doing services the last couple of days. I just started again. Still trying to get back with everybody. I'm missing people still. I kind of suck with that. So if I haven't gotten back, please hit me again. And I'm seeing people. I just had to chill for a little bit and make sure I have myself together, which is good. Plus it's the holidays. But I'm engaging again. Thank you for helping, Jessica. Anybody hit me, barrylittleton13@gmail.com.
Yes. Barry, tell the audience what kind of services you provide, because we say you have services people may not know.
Stress management. No, I'm just kidding.
Stress management. We all could use that. We all could quit smoking, lose weight, whatever, But it's hypnotic regression therapy, right?
I do anti-smoking, stop smoking, and weight loss also. But I do hypnotic regressions, extraterrestrial regressions, past life regressions, boast of a couple different modalities. I do a lot of earthbound spirit releases, also generational curses. And I also do dissolving of negative identities as well. That's not hypnosis, but similar. And also do readings as well. Kind of seems to me, the readings are all right, a little more draining, but to be honest, in hypnosis sessions, I think it's a little more beneficial to the client because they do it themselves and see it themselves, and they're the one in charge of that. You know what I mean? So It's instead of worrying like, is such and such really psychic? Are they right? Are they wrong? It's more better to trust yourself and your higher self.
Yes.
Super conscious.
Well, I can appreciate that. And I appreciate the services that you provide. And I know our audience does too as well. And oh my gosh, before we go, I have another super sticker from Skip. Thank you so much, Skip. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your support very much. That's very sweet. And I see Kira in here too. Hi, Kira. Yeah, a lot of wonderful, good friends in here today. And so just thank you so much for all your support, you guys.
Kira, I've got a Bigfoot shirt you gave me. I still appreciate that, although I'm far too fat to wear it. But it's really nice of you. I was thinking about you the other day.
You can cut it up a little bit and tie it. Like that's what my friend Bryce was teaching me the other day.
I think I'd be trying to wear it'd be a Mr. T shirt.
Mr. T.
I'm too
Mr.
big.
T t-shirt.
But it's really nice. You're just really good people. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you for being here, Kira. Thank you to everybody who's been in here today and participated in our chat. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel and Barry's channel, please do. The Cryptid Huntress and Barry Littleton, both of those channels on YouTube. And I have a Rumble channel as well if you guys would like to go throw your support over there and give me a follow. And also you can hear all of my shows on Spreaker and Spotify and all the podcast platforms, almost all the podcast platforms out there as well. And yeah, you guys, please come back and see me tomorrow night. I have a remote viewing show at 8 p.m. I don't know what the target's going to be yet, but I will be back here at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Also, I will be on, I think it's Brian Bowden's show tonight, Sir Brian Bowden. He is doing a psychic show now. One of his 3,459 podcasts, as Dave Scott says, he's got a channel. Just look up Brian Bowden on YouTube, and I'll be there tonight. I think it's around 8 o'clock Eastern tonight on his channel, talking about remote viewing, if you guys are interested in that. So come over there and see me. Otherwise, you guys, hold on. Oh, Kira. Thank you, Kira, for that super sticker. That's so sweet of you. And yeah, you guys definitely always go check out Spaced Out Radio too. Kira is my star sister from Spaced Out Radio. And so y'all go check them out too every night with Dave Scott. So thanks again, Kira. Y'all are awesome. Wow. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day. Barry, have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all stay safe out there. Watch your kids, man. Watch your loved ones. Don't let anybody get out of your sight when you're at these national parks, especially because if we've got Dulce out there and they're taking people and maybe experimenting on them, they may be doing it at all the parks. We don't know what's out there exactly. But don't be scared. Don't live in fear. I know it's like a conundrum here, right? But just please don't live in fear. Just live in awareness. Okay. Have awareness. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow. All right, Barry. Have a great day, Barry. I will see you guys on the flip side.
Terminator T-800. I just rewatched the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I need to go back and watch those too. I got a lot of stuff I need to watch this week. So I'm going to go do that now. Okay. All right, y'all have a great day. I love everybody out there. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.